that down, what will the city of Davis handle that? And if it passes, what'll that also bring us?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
So Measure P is sort of an interesting one.
A very confusing one.
It is. The ballot measure itself is confusing.
Yes.
You know, you have a yes on P, and yes on P actually removes the rates, and if you support the rates, then you're supposed to vote no, and there's some confusion there. I think what's interesting is that the ballot measure itself relates to some confusing water rates. And the city, and ourselves included, have not done a very good job of explaining why we have the water rates system that we do. And then there was sort of an underlying good idea, and then we weren't able to sort of explain that good idea to the people. So a lot of people are confused about how their water rates are going to be calculated. And I think what we've done at a previous council meeting just about a week and a half ago, we recognize that fact, and I think it's clear that we want to, whether Measure P passes or doesn't pass, we want to make the rates much easier for people to understand.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
You know, one of the interesting things, well, I keep saying the word interesting, but it is truly interesting, is I was volunteering at the farmers market for the past few weeks, and people would come up and they were truly concerned about their water rates. And one of the things they don't really understand is they don't really understand what the maximum amount is that they could potentially be paying for their water rates. And I think we could have done a much better job at explaining that even in the worst case scenario, water will cost less than a penny a gallon. And why this is important, I had somebody literally come up and say they were afraid to flush the toilet because they're worried that they're not only paying for the water that they use, but it's going to set into motion some additional surcharge for water they use in the future. But even with all the possible negative, you know, if every single negative possibility occurs, water still is going to be less than a penny a gallon. So this person, you know, would spend, you know, probably closer to a penny to flush their toilet. But they don't know that, and that's in large part due to us not communicating very well.
Well, lesson learned for next time there's a hot issue.
Right, absolutely.
All right, so, you know, the sales tax increase was another top, you know, hot issue.
Yeah.
And if that fails, what is the council going to consider, you know, dropping?
Sure. Well, so the city, the city council has proposed a budget that we'll be acting on in mid-June for adoption by the end of June at the latest. And you know, we currently have a structural deficit at the city of about $5 million. And if Measure O is successful this evening, which we're confident, I think that it will be successful, that will bring in an approximately about $3.7 million of that $5 million gap. And then the council has already, the proposed budget that we are planning on adopting in June already has built into it an additional over $1 million in cuts through a number of things, through some attrition, through positions we will not fill again, for example. But if Measure O is unsuccessful this evening, there's no question that we will have to make severe cuts across the board. Yeah, absolutely. You know, anywhere between 12% across the board, or up to as much as over 20% across the board, and that would include public safety and parks, and you know, many of the things that we really value.
Things that make Davis Davis. I mean, things that we value. I think the majority of us as Davis citizens. So
absolutely.
So it'll be interesting to see what the early results are.
Well, and we also felt that, you know, I mean, the sales tax increase, you know, is a 0.5%. You know, current sales tax in Davis is 8%. The proposal is to raise it to 8.5%. You know, that is a very small amount of money comparatively. You know, so it's about, you know, if you buy $1,000 worth of goods, that's actually $5 of an increased sales tax.
And I hope people understood that and realized, you know, that we're very lucky that we've chosen Davis as our home, and so let's keep all those good roads and amenities going.
And actually, if I could ask for the YOLO elections results to be put up for Measure O, it looks like there are the initial absentee ballots. These are ballots that are mailed in ahead of time. A lot of people in Davis and in Yolo County are registered to vote on a permanent absentee basis, and if you mail them in or drop them off at the registrar's office before Election Day, there is a statutory regulation that allows them to pre-open those and begin the counting process today at a certain hour, and it's all very regulated. But I believe that we have Measure O up, and I believe that it shows that we're 55% yes, 45% no.
Nice.
So normally, as absentees go, so goes a measure. The Measure P is actually fairly close to that as well. I know that the slide isn't on the screen, and I apologize if I'm already driving the Diane mad. But Measure P is also similar to that, 54 to 46.
The yes.
In terms of
54 yes and 46 no on Measure P.
Okay.
So very similar results overall. And the two council guys are taking a look there. So that's just with, as they have here on the election site, 0% of the precincts reporting. So that's, but that is the absentee votes that have come in, and so it looks good so far.
Well, Lucas and I were both opponents of Measure P.
Right.
So.
No, it looks good so far for Measure O.
Yes,
I'm sorry. For Measure P, it doesn't. But as you said, the action you took the other evening really, I don't want to say in a sense, nullifies Measure P. I don't want anyone to hire an attorney to come after me. But you basically said you're willing you want to redo what you've done, and you hope to, whether the measure passes or fails.
I think
And make it more clear, too.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the fear that many people have with Measure P passing is it creates a window of uncertainty. And
For the future of the water project.
And it's just nice to have stability and then sort of an orderly fashion of how we change the current rate structure so that it's a smooth transition, as opposed to the rates being rescinded. There's sort of a momentary gap, and then we sort of work to fill in that gap with a new rate
But
structure.
Woodland didn't have these issues that we have,
Correct.
right?
That is correct, yeah.
They went for a more traditional rate structure, and there is something to be said for that. And
Well-
again, I think there was a good reason why we went with the
CBFR, yes.
the innovative
Yeah.
plan,
Innovative.
but we did not do a good job of explaining
Yeah.
that. So if you like we do,
But all
we
big
talked a lot.
issues are big political issues in Davis.
Yeah.
We're very special in
That makes it
way.
fun.
Even
Yes.
smaller.
Well, and there's no question, that this is, been ongoing for, a good number of years
Oh,
at this
yeah.
point. We've already had a community vote, last year
Right.
on whether or
Right.
not to pursue or allow us to
Right.
continue to pursue the joint water
Right.
project with the
Right.
city of Woodland, and this is just yet another extension of that original measure.
Right,
So
right. Well, and
And
we
of this
are
issue.
good in Davis at wanting our voice to be heard, and at going to the polls and,
Yes.
and having it heard. So
yeah,
so
there's no question that democracy is
Yeah.
alive and well
Yes,
Right,
in
right.
Davis
yes,
today.
yes.
There's no- yeah.
I'm sure that there's days when you wish it was a direct democracy and you didn't have to go to as many meetings as you do. But we will see how the results continue on, and it does look like at this point Measure P is narrowly winning, which is on the yes side, which is, I know, not exactly
Right, that's-
what
yeah.
you
That's
wanted,
okay.
but-
I mean,
but things
But
have
it's-
changed, really.
right.
I mean, even since the ballots have gone out, you guys took what some might say was a courageous stand to put it on the agenda and take a vote and not say we'll just sit and wait.
Right.
So we will watch the results tonight, and then what happens in the future. And
Well, we've really been focused, and one of the things that's allowed, frankly, for us as two members of the city council who are not running for election
Right,
or re-election
right,
at the
right.
moment, it's actually allowed us to spend our much of our time over the past number of months being solely focused on the governance of the city.
Right.
And I think that's we'll see though now after tonight's election and see how the council race turns out and such. We'll see what the new makeup is of the
Right, right,
upcoming
right.
council and have a chance to sort of get back to really get
Yeah.
back to work.
And think
Yeah,
about your
exactly. Well, you-
reelection in
Yeah, yeah.
2 years.
Yeah. Or next steps. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
who knows?
I didn't see any city council results on the website, and that's probably just because
That's probably a good thing. I don't know if we want to
probably
have our
probably because
catch our expression
Oh,
of-
here we have some up there. Well, it looks like Rob Davis is in the lead with John Munn just a few points behind him, and then Rochelle, and then Sheila, and then Daniel.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
But really just a few points in between the top three, or even top
Yeah,
three
top
for
three.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. That's good to see. That is just the absentees, as we've mentioned. So there are still a lot of votes yet to be counted and
Oh, yeah.
yet to be delivered to Woodland
Yeah.
and opened and counted. And so, in fact, all the people who turned in absentee ballots at the polls today, those ballots will be counted tomorrow and in the days to come. So if the races are tight, it may be something
the
that is
difference.
not easy to call tonight. So
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's also, I mean, it's I think also a little bit, and we'll see what the final number of ballots cast is, and
Right,
also the
right.
percentage of turnout. But
Right.
you know, as of even yesterday, and
It was
it's been
extremely
extremely
low.
low, and which is really, a real shame actually,
Yeah.
and particularly in a community
Yeah,
like Davis that
really.
it prides itself on civic
Yeah.
engagement
Yeah.
and civic involvement.
Yeah.
To have such low turnout on,
Yeah.
and there's no question that this election is just as important as any other.
Totally.
Right.
And you know,
Right.
I think that, I mean, you would think that in a community as also
Yeah.
as not only engaged as Davis is, but as educated as Davis is, that
Right.
people would actually get out there and cast their ballots.
Right.
So,
They're just, I think there wasn't a lot of scandal. There wasn't a lot of intrigue.
Right.
There wasn't, that always draws people in. Maybe people were busy watching, the Kim Kanye wedding and got distracted. Hopefully they still filled out their ballot and took it in today. But I mean, everybody, the city council candidates were all really nice, and they were basically nice to
Yeah,
each other,
right.
and there wasn't, we've seen in years past campaigns that get ugly and lawn sign stealing and some of that stuff. And I know that as we were setting up, there were we mentioned lawn signs, and having been involved in campaigns for many, many years in Davis, lawn signs are the bane of every campaign's existence. You have to have them in Davis. It's one of the few cities where you still do. But I know that Lucas, you shared a comment with me, which I echo completely, that there's too many lawn signs in the public right-of-way, and that's unfortunate.
the city has a pretty, strict ordinance about the, locations of where lawn signs can be placed and where they're not supposed to be placed, and they're not supposed to be placed in the public right of way and public, sort of in the easements like that. And so, and it just was, I certainly have noticed it, but I've heard from many folks, down at the farmers market, or at the food co-op, or wherever, just downtown shopping, having dinner. People have definitely noticed this year that there are, just lawn signs, that are in all these sort of the public right of way.
And maybe they ended up, somebody was doing pranking at midnight and putting them there.
Yeah, certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
It could be, but I did see that there, and it wasn't really any one camp. They seemed to be kind of like California poppies. They just kind of pop up everywhere, you
Yeah.
know. So it is concerning. Although we do such a good job in Davis of our sign ordinance, it's just impossible to have the person power to go out there and pluck all those up.
Absolutely.
So, and they're expensive. You want to get them back to the campaigns that own them. I mean,
Right.
you really don't want your city employees just putting them in the landfill.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Traditionally people are pretty good about collecting them, and the nice
Yes.
thing is the campaigns will cooperate. So
Yes.
they'll go and they'll just scoop them all up
Yeah.
and then drop off, the signs.
And
Yeah,
some are
start-
going to recycle them at a special place.
Oh yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
But yeah, there
Absolutely.
was definitely
Right.
seemed to be either
Right.
sloppiness or laziness on the part
Right.
of some of the
Right.
people placing the signs, because sometimes it's hard to know. Is this the public
And also-
right of way? But other
It's
places,
in front of
Corner
somebody's
lots.
business.
Some
Said,
are-
sure, just put a sign up.
Yeah. oh,
Yeah, that was another.
But
pet
it's
peeve.
interesting. There's been, even more than that, just the amount of signs, like in the median strips, along Covell Boulevard, or
Right.
and
Yeah.
other
Yeah. No,
places,
that's
in a
not-
lot of
it's-
around the Mace Curve. I mean, places where they just
Right.
haven't been.
No, they haven't been.
Historically,
they haven't
really.
Been.
Yeah.
But I was glad to see that we have been able to enforce the no agricultural signs in the city limits. There were a few that popped up, and they were taken down rather quickly. So
Oh, the bigger, the
yes,
sort of the larger
4x8s.
ones, yeah, the 4x8s, yeah.
our ordinance is, the city ordinance is such that that's not allowed, and
Right.
it is in other cities, in Yolo County even.
Yeah.
But a good job on making sure that those were taken down, because it does change the look of a neighborhood.
No,
To
definitely.
all of a
yeah.
sudden have
Giant billboards, you know. and, yeah,
exactly,
sort of, yeah,
exactly. So,
exactly.
well, we appreciate you guys coming in. We know that you have parties to get to
Yeah.
go see how the election results continue to come in.
Nothing like election night in Davis.
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
it's
right.
No,
quite the
that's right. that's
party
right.
hopping
Party hopping,
ability.
yeah.
That's right. It's a good thing it's not
Yeah.
on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Thursday nights in Davis downtown, just
Right.
if you don't know. Anyway, the kids have turned it into the new Friday night. So, but well, actually, we have a few more minutes. If you'd like to stay and talk about, looks like you're going to have one new colleague at least, Rob Davis. I don't know that that's any surprise to anyone that he's in the lead at this point. This is still just the absentees, I believe, but he has been everywhere. He has lawn signs everywhere. He, of course, has the right last name. You know, if his name was just Jerome, he could, you know, say he was a zombie and came back.
He's paid his dues for community service also.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I think that the community really values. I mean,
True.
there's certainly, you know, a number of folks over the years who have been very involved at the
Right.
city level before being on the council in terms
Right.
of commission service and such, which Rob
Right.
certainly has been also
Yeah.
involved in. But also I mean, I think that this community in particular really values, you know, people's service to the community as well, and nonprofit service in other ways.
I think one piece of literature said that his family, it's one of his kids, they've been riding a bike since like 2003. Wow. I
Yeah.
don't know how you do a big shopping with that, but
You do.
that was
Yeah.
There's
impressive.
ways to do it, yeah.
You do.
Oh,
You do.
yeah.
There are many people in
Yeah.
this town that do it.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Well,
Thank you for having us in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you know, Lucas
Oh,
and I
yeah.
were talking. It's kind of fun coming in when we're not running for something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we can just
Be
sit here and
relaxed.
kind of relax and
Yeah.
just kind
Exactly,
of
exactly.
watch from the sidelines.
you're not tired. You're not
Right,
worn out. You're
right.
not sweaty from
Yeah.
door hanging
yeah.
at 4 a.m.
Still
and then
got
calling
good
and
hair.
calling.
That's right.
Well, they both have good hair anyway. I mean, Matt Rexroad
Yeah.
has got to be jealous. I mean, my goodness. You know, he's threatened to run for the Davis City Council.
That's right.
But he would, if
We'll
he
let-
runs in 2 years, he'll stand out with you guys on the
That's
ballot
true,
for
yeah.
sure.
Well, maybe he'll
So-
grow his hair back long.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure that that's possible. I'm really not. But we appreciate you coming in and appreciate
yeah.
your service. It takes
Thank you.
a lot of time to be a city council person, and we appreciate that.
We're really enjoying it, I think.
Yeah,
We've
I mean-
developed a very close
Yeah.
relationship and get a chance to work
Obviously.
together. So
Yeah, Lucas and I work really well together. And it's really, I feel very fortunate to be on the city council, just the people we meet, and also just working with
Getting to
Lucas and my other colleagues.
likewise,
It's great.
It's been a great working relationship. The other thing is, I also want to just say, and I think it's true for Brett too, we really appreciate the election coverage that Davis Media Access provides the community. It's very, very important
Yeah.
to service the community. And
We're-
I mean, there are so many people tuned in tonight at home who otherwise wouldn't necessarily know what is going on in terms of the
goodness.
election and election
Right.
results and such. So,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
right.
appreciate- yeah.
It's a community resource. We are very, very fortunate in Davis to have it.
Absolutely.
It's really the only local media left in the county. So we're fortunate for that, and hope to do a good job tonight covering
Absolutely.
what's happening. So
That's great.
So
And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for your
Thank you.
continued
Thank you.
Yeah,
service.
And we'll
Yes.
be watching the rest of the interviews.
yes.
Oh gosh, we'll
From
be on our
various-
best behavior
Yes.
then.
Excellent, good.
So I will pull up some, how about if we pull up some statewide results? Let's look at.
Anything from the assembly race by chance?
Yeah.
Let's look at the assembly
We've got a
race.
couple of colleagues who are.
Yes, you guys have kind of been next to the hot seats, so to speak. If we could pull up the state assembly district floor
Here's
race.
the YOLO returns.
Yes, those are the yellow returns. Yes, and that shows
Dan.
Dan and then
Charlie.
Charlie Shop from Esparto, because it's a top two primary. But if we could pull up the Secretary of State. If we could pull up the Secretary of State results that show all the counties for the Assembly Fourth Assembly District. I think that will show
And
perhaps the same. Oh, we have, it looks like we have Secretary of State up here, Alex Padilla, and Pete Peterson. Of course, that's not the Pete Peterson that used to be on the board of Davis Media Access. If he's watching tonight and he's just waking up from a coma, I don't want him to think that he's going to be the next Secretary of State. But it looks like Dan Schnur is trailing in a distant third, and then, of course, Senator Leland Yee, who I don't believe will be eligible to serve.
Right.
So Alex Padilla leading that rather quite clearly. And all of these top 2 primaries, this is a new thing for California. We did it a little bit last election, and now in the primary, this is the first time that it's been rolled out statewide. And so that means that it's really anyone's ball game in some races, and we may see that yet tonight in the District 4 results. It looks like Dan Wolk is in the lead here locally, but Bill Dodd is in the lead district-wide, and Charlie Schaup would be coming in second at this point. That, of course, is just absentee ballots, and that's not surprising. I'm sure Charlie got a lot of absentee ballots in for him, and we might see those results change as the evening comes on. But we will continue to watch those results and others. We have been joined by a shy gentleman who apparently doesn't want to sit too close to us.
Yeah.
I thought I put more
I'll move over.
deodorant.
Yeah.
I thought I wore deodorant tonight, but I don't know about Rosenberg over here. We have Bob Dunning. Not too many people are used to seeing him, except maybe chasing him down in Nugget. But
I brought the kids because there's free food out there.
yeah, good,
Yeah, it's
good,
the only
good.
reason I'm doing this.
Thanks for announcing that.
Yeah.
That's good. Perfect, perfect. Welcome, Bob. We're glad you could come in and sit with us.
I'm pinch hitting for Daniel Perella.
okay.
I think he
You're
got
the-
stuck in the drive-through lane at Jack in the Box.
Oh,
Okay,
dear.
okay,
He's a kid,
okay.
you know.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
Well, and the bike in the drive-through lane, it's difficult.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
difficult. They don't know that you're there waiting to order. So,
Hey, the last 2 guys you had on,
Yeah.
I really like them.
Yeah, they're
they have
I
good
think
hair.
they're very sincere. They have good hair too.
Yeah, they do.
I
Right.
don't like that part.
No, me neither.
But,
me neither.
Yeah.
I really resented it the whole time.
I think
we were here.
I watched the last council meeting. I think they're sincere about correcting some of the deficiencies in the water rates.
Oh, and I meant what I said about I think it was a gutsy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I know they've taken some pot shots for doing it.
Who would take pot shots at
I
the city
don't
council?
know. I
can't
don't know.
believe
Not
anybody would do a
you.
thing like that.
No. Other people. Other people.
So tell
Wendy
us,
Weitzel mainly.
Mr. Dunning,
Yes.
was this an exciting election for you, or?
Yeah, more exciting than it was for the voters apparently, because I went to vote today with my family, and I thought I was visiting the Maytag repairman. Guy gets up and hugs me. It's like, a voter.
Wow.
Yeah, because they get paid by how many votes, and
Do they? Do they? That's how Freddie's doing it. No, come on.
I think they make $3 an hour though.
Oh, I don't even know if they make that. I mean, it's a long day.
It's abusive.
We support our troops and we thank them frequently with Memorial Day and Veterans Day. I wish we had a day where we could thank election workers.
But I mean, we got
Because-
a judge race with 4 candidates.
Right.
We got an
right.
assembly race with 5 candidates, and 2 of them from Davis.
Right.
And it's very contentious. I mean, it's not like it was just like previous assembly races. There was
Right.
1 Democrat and 1 Republican. So Democratic district is kind of a foregone conclusion.
So what about this
and the
assembly
council, the
race,
same
when we
thing.
have two,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
well-known
That's
city
why
council running?
in the Old West they invented duels.
Yeah.
You just have them back to back, 3 paces, turn, fire.
Yeah.
We're
And then we only
down
got
to
1
one.
Davis candidate. That's what they should have done.
Right.
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 Bad mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that's why they had smoke-filled rooms.
Right. Well, yeah. And
They should have duked it out, settled it.
Jesse Unruh and John Burton would have settled it. I'll tell you that.
So I think it
and
makes it very difficult for either of them.
I think so. I think so. Well, and it looks that way when you look at the Secretary of State's results. Those are early. There's still a lot of votes to count.
Well, they're also, are they only
The Secretary of State,
Oh, it's
meaning
all-
the entire district, because Yolo County is only a part of this Fourth
Exactly.
Assembly. When you look at the Secretary of State's results, it's got Dodd in first and Schaup in second.
Yeah.
Top two that would be, but this is very early.
Sure.
Lots of votes to be counted yet. May not yet be decided tonight.
But when I
May
read
go to other-
30% turnout, maybe
that's-
if they're lucky,
Yeah.
and then you figure the thing that people forget is that's of the registered voters.
Yeah, yeah.
That's only about half
Yeah.
the people that are old enough to
That
vote.
are
So now
eligible.
you're down to
Exactly.
15%.
Exactly.
And some guy gets half of those, which is 7.5%.
Yeah.
Means one person
Yeah.
in 13 voted
Yeah.
for him, and he walks around saying, "I got a mandate."
Yeah, no,
You know?
no. I think it's going to be hard to have a mandate off of tonight's returns, but
I think the judgeship race is very interesting.
it would be nice to pull up those results. I know that I have somebody who's interested in seeing those. So if we could see the judge race on the Yolo County elections website, that would be great, because we haven't seen it here in the control room. And
Whoa.
yes, and that's
That's-
about what I thought.
I see this long purple line, so
Yeah, yeah,
that's very,
yeah.
very nice.
But my
Yeah.
prediction was Baronio with 55%.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that still
and-
could
and
happen.
It's, she has to get over 50. It's unlike the
Right.
assembly race.
And
If
then
she
it's-
gets over 50, she wins. If
she
she
wins
doesn't,
it.
Right.
Yeah.
no
And
disrespect
she-
to the other candidates, but
Right.
she's way better known.
Right,
And
right.
she ran a good campaign,
Right.
and she had the support of every Yolo County judge, which that's, generally I don't pay too much attention to endorsements,
Yeah.
especially in Davis, anybody
No.
telling us how to vote.
No.
But when you see that every judge, and it's a diverse bunch of people there,
It is.
supported her
Yeah.
from, I don't know, what do you want to call them, from wherever they are politically
Right,
or
right,
personally
right,
or
right.
socially or anything
Right,
else.
right.
That's quite a statement.
Right, right.
No, it is. It is. It really is. And the retiring judge that's going out, was one of those. That Steve Mock was
Yeah.
was thrilled that she was running, and
Steve Mock's
and-
way too
and-
young to retire. What's the deal there?
I know.
I think that needs to be investigated.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. Well,
What is he, 40?
He looks it. He does look it. He does look it. But he's. I think he's done his time, and his wife retired,
Right.
and sometimes that the magnet starts
Yeah.
pulling.
Time to
so-
start hitting the hiking trail.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So what's
that's
it
right.
like to be the most well-read column besides the comics here in Davis?
And Wendy Weitzel's.
It's
Yes,
fun.
that's true.
Of course.
Yeah. well, Wendy, she has to
and
be.
Debbie.
Right. That's
True,
right.
true,
Yeah.
true, true, true,
Yeah.
true.
Deborah.
Yes.
Deborah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
From
right.
Winters.
And
Yes,
speaking of
yes,
retirement,
yes.
so you're going to go for another long time then?
I don't even know what the word means.
Okay, good.
I have no intention
my
of retiring.
Goodness.
I have the best job in
Well,
the world.
Yeah, why
I
would
know.
he? He's been in permanent
Yeah.
retirement.
You can type it home and
mean-
I
send
can type
it in.
it home and send it in.
He's
and
upgraded his wardrobe.
Yeah.
There's no holes in his shirt tonight. I mean, I remember.
I
when
borrowed
he-
the shirt.
Oh, okay.
I wore
So-
tie shoes.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
You
no
did.
sandals.
Yeah, you had somebody help you with that. Good,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, good.
The
So
Pope sent me a note. He said, cool it with the sandals. I get to wear the
Yeah,
sandals,
there
not
you go. There you go. There
I'm
you
the
go.
humble one, not
yes,
you.
he is. That's a whole nother.
I think he should run for Davis City Council. Be interested to see how he does.
Oh, I think he would appeal to a lot of people. He refuses the driver. He refuses
Yeah.
the fancy
Drives a Ford
apartment.
Focus.
Yeah. I mean, if
of a
we
deal.
could just switch that to an electronic model, he'd probably be in. So, of course, we'd have to find out, how he is on Measure P and Measure O and
That's
a
true.
whole variety of
But
other subjects.
what's the matter with? Davis, the second most educated city in America, and we can't get people to vote.
Yeah.
You've got P and O, very
important.
both very important issues, hugely
The assembly
debated.
race,
And the assembly race with
dividing.
two Davis people,
Right.
and the judgeship race,
Right.
and four. Well, Daniel Perella has run a very good campaign, but he's not
Yes.
going to be in the
Right.
top
No,
two.
no.
But four people, any of which, if
Yeah.
they were elected, would not surprise me.
Right.
They
Right.
were all serious candidates from the
Right.
get-go. Everybody, as soon as they announced, said, "Oh, that's a good candidate. That's a good candidate."
Yeah.
And I think Rob Davis probably ran the best campaign, and because he was the least known of the people out there. Everybody knew Sheila from 9
Right.
years on the
Right.
school
Right.
board,
Right.
and the most recent stuff
Yeah.
with the volleyball.
Yeah.
Right.
She was kind of a household
Right.
name there
Yeah.
for a
Right.
while.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Rochelle's an incumbent, and John Munn he's run for assembly. He's been on the school board.
Right.
He's a known quantity.
Yeah.
and
for-
sued the city on the water. So
Right.
he's a known quantity.
Right,
and
right.
and Rob was the one that a lot of
Yeah.
people didn't really know.
Right.
Well,
So he worked very hard.
Yeah.
He worked very hard and he broke that barrier, I'll tell you that.
And that's the same, with Brett Lee. Who knew him 2
Yep.
years ago? And
Brett was a bit of a surprise. He
Yes.
snuck
Yeah.
in there.
Yes.
People realized that he was coming on, but I don't think
Right.
anybody thought he was going to make it.
yeah.
Right.
And he
So-
did. I saw a Sue Greenwald sign
Yeah.
today
Oh,
on
Really?
Lehigh Drive. Yeah.
How, that
Really?
must have
In
been
the-
a joke.
It's right next to Cravosa. It was kind of blocking Cravosa.
Oh,
Huh.
somebody had it hidden in their garage and saved it for a special
We'll see how many write-in
occasion.
votes she gets.
Oh
Yeah.
my, oh my, oh my.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope it wasn't in it. Let's hope it was in someone's yard proper, not in a public right of way.
Yeah.
And the lawn signs. I've
Yeah.
never seen so many lawn signs, but it's mostly because I travel up and down East 8th and West 8th,
Yeah.
Pole Line, the main thoroughfares.
Right.
You get off those streets, there's
Yeah.
no signs.
Yeah.
There's none. It's like they all concentrated. They're putting
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
Cravosa signs in one yard or
Right,
5 Wolk
right.
signs in one yard.
And corners.
Corners. And a
They,
lot.
can I? They just
Yeah.
asked if I can put a sign that they would
My-
say sure.
My next door neighbor, who just moved here from Fort Collins, and in fact is moving back, he's going to leave the water bill for somebody else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and one day there's 2 Cravosa signs. He's got it right on East 8th Street. He's got one of those corner lots so
right.
everybody can see the sign. 2
Right.
Cravosa signs
Yeah.
and a Yes on Peace sign.
Yeah.
The Yes on Peace sign lasted about 3 days and it was gone. So he's out front harvesting the lawn, and I said, how did that happen? I mean, you just moved here,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And he says, I have no idea where the Yes on Peace sign came from. No idea, or what happened to it.
my.
Yeah.
And one day it just appeared. He says the Cravosa signs, one day some guy knocked on the door and my wife answered, and he seemed like a nice guy, and he says, would you like some Cravosa signs? And she said, sure.
Oh,
And that is sometimes how it
I
happens.
think it is how it happens, especially on that street.
Yeah.
That is, I think it's the second most traveled, maybe the first most traveled.
Well, after we have
After we have
the road
the road
diet,
diet, yes.
it will be, I'm sure, probably the most traveled.
They're bringing
for some
Dr.
of us.
Atkins out to supervise the road diet.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. Back from the dead. Zombies
back from
are
the
in.
dead.
Zombies are in, though, so he could do
It's
it.
kind of a bad ad for his own diet, isn't he?
It really is. It really is. Yeah, yeah. Well, he didn't die from high cholesterol. He slipped and fell, so I
Yeah.
guess anybody
Well,
could
Jim
slip and
Fix,
fall.
wrote the book about running and
yeah.
then dropped dead while running.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is why I don't run.
Yeah, you're smart.
that made a lot of non-athletes feel good. Yeah.
Yeah, just for a
So-
short. So other than Measure O and Measure P, I mean, the city council race was pretty scandal-free, pretty
Pretty much.
You know,
yeah, there were no of those PAC mailers like.
Right.
right.
No one accusing someone of killing the Bay Bridge. The bulbs.
You know,
Yeah,
that's really disturbing because I sold Bill Dodd those bulbs.
Yeah, I saw that in
Yeah.
your column.
Under the I Street Bridge in Sacramento.
Yeah,
I took them
yeah.
right off the I Street
Yeah.
Bridge.
Yeah.
I sold them
No
to
one
Bill.
will miss 'em.
And
That
now
thing's
he's-
rusted together,
Yeah,
permanent.
now he's getting the blame for it.
Yeah,
I love the
yeah.
picture of Dodd with the same outfit,
Yeah.
one over the Pacific Ocean and one in the Napa Valley Vineyards.
Right, right.
Exact same, it's the blue work shirt,
Yeah.
sleeves rolled up, Levi's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thumbs
Yeah,
in his
yeah.
pockets.
Couldn't be photoshopped at
Couldn't
all.
have been photoshopped.
No,
he had
not
the
at all.
same expression. It was.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's good that
He's
way,
probably
I
a
guess.
professional
I don't
model.
know.
He knows
Could
how to-
be.
he knows how to do that.
Could be. Could be.
He knows how to
So-
pose for the photographer.
I have never seen so much
Oh,
garbage.
big garbage.
Yeah.
Big. I mean, it was like poster size. It was like, I mean, you unfurled it from the
And
mailbox.
Joe managed to stay clear of that, and it appears it probably hurt him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
Which
didn't
is-
have a pack sending
which
stuff
is,
out.
Which is unfortunate.
him,
That's a
yeah.
sad commentary if that's what it takes. So, although some people have packs that send things out that they wish they hadn't. They
Oh,
didn't. You know, a
happens
lot of
all the
times.
time. We had
that.
we had
a
whatever
couple
the-
of
yeah, the-
a couple of council races ago where
Really changed the dynamics.
yeah. So
I wouldn't know
so
because I don't get any mail.
Really?
Nope.
we'll have to talk to
I
Dave
didn't
about
get
that.
one piece.
You didn't get any mail?
Nope. No political mail.
I get all of it, and
Yeah, we
I
could
love it.
share.
I got
I have
nothing.
a stack.
We got a call today from. I was the only one home. It was about noontime, and the woman's voice says, "Is Shelley there?" And I said, "No, she's not. Can I take a message?" She said, "You were just reminding her to vote for Dan Wolk." And I said, "Okay, I'll pass the message on." And then I'm like, What about, do you care if I vote for somebody?
No, you're a guy.
No, you're a
Yeah,
guy.
you're a
Forget
guy.
it.
Yeah.
Too bad.
You weren't on the call
You're not,
list.
you're not
right.
in the demographic that they're looking
That
for.
Man's
Yes,
World ad he
yes.
came out
Yeah.
with, they don't want any men voting for him.
No,
It's
exactly,
women.
exactly. Well, it's an honor to have you here, and we could keep you here all night. In fact, you could just move over, and we'll bring in the next guest, and you can
Bring
just-
in the food, I'll stay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, your kids are out there eating it. It's probably gone.
They bought big pockets too. I
Did they?
told them to-
Did they? You've taught them well.
Yeah, put the
Good.
cookies in there.
Well,
And I came out with the boobies and the bobbies today.
you
Yes,
did, and
I saw.
I didn't get to see it.
They're right here. They're
Yeah.
right here.
Okay,
They're in the
okay.
newspaper.
Okay,
I
wonderful.
I got a
they're-
quick
they're
glance at
much
'em.
coveted awards.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. They are. I'm glad you come out with them before this show.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that, and I'll send the check.
I'll leave them with you, and
Yes,
you can.
yes, and
as things slow down,
Yeah.
trying to fill.
Yes,
you
please
just-
do. That would be wonderful.
yeah, just,
That would be wonderful, because my Davis Enterprise deliverer doesn't always get it to me before the sun goes
And
down.
the boobie is named after the bird.
Yes, I know.
Oh,
I know
okay.
that.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. So we
It's the
appreciate
bird that tries to land, and it,
Right.
we appreciate you
Yes.
coming in, and you are a citywide treasure, and we're glad to have you, and glad that you're not retiring ever. Like I said, he's been retired the whole time.
Yeah, yeah,
Just don't,
yeah.
just don't tell
It
Debbie
beats
Davis.
working for a living,
Don't tell
I'll tell
Floyd.
you. Don't-
Exactly.
don't tell any of them.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, we will go to some coverage, some other results, perhaps. The propositions in the Secretary of State's website, the two statewide propositions. We could take a look at those, and
That would be 40 and 41?
correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I know a lot of people get to that part of the ballot and they think, oh my goodness, there's something else.
Yeah.
So if we could look at Proposition 40 or Proposition 41 and see how those are going in Yolo County results. It looks like it's a strong yes vote, 63, over 63% yes on 41. That's
Which
the,
was the VA bill?
that's the Veterans Housing
Okay,
Bond. Yes, it
okay.
is. Yes, it is. Very near and
Okay.
dear to the heart of our current Assemblywoman and also former supervisor, and some current supervisors are also very interested in that Veterans Housing Bill, Veterans Housing Bond. If we could look at the results on 42, here we've got them up here. It looks like that's much closer. We're talking about 51% to 48. So that's the public records meeting costs measure is not doing as well as 41 was. So we have some new guests here in the room with us, and we're glad to have you here, Joe.
Wonderful.
I'm sure you've been up since about 4 this morning. Election day is always an exciting day when you're on a campaign. So we're glad that you could be here. And who did you bring with you?
This is Leslie Hunter, my longtime friend, and Leslie ran my city council campaign and was one of our cornerstone coordinators for the assembly run.
And came back for more. Good for
She
you.
did, she
Good
did.
for you. We love to hear that. We
Really 4 years later, here we are.
Right,
So-
right. So, tough race. It looks like you might not make the top 2, at least with the absentees as it is now, but lots of votes to count yet. So, and we haven't, I don't know if there's been an update in the Yolo County elections website with more than absentees yet, but we will keep a watch on that. But
Okay.
but great campaign. I mean, you ran a clean campaign, and Bob Dunning was just talking about that on his way out. You didn't have all the super huge mailers for or against somebody else. You didn't have constant mail coming in every day about you, and that was cleaner for the environment and cleaner for our mailboxes, and maybe part of the reason why your numbers are what they are, because
At this point. Yeah.
because the mail, apparently those kind of things make a difference. I don't know. It turns me off. Everybody I talk to say they hate it, yet you read something enough times.
Yeah, you
I don't
sort of
know.
remember it.
So what's your feel from
Sure.
were you surprised with the first numbers that came in? Or?
I haven't seen the first numbers.
Oh.
So we
could pull that
and
up.
Actually, let's just talk about the
Sure,
race.
sure,
mainly,
sure,
but
sure.
we came in from the lot. We walked in.
Sure.
We got mic'd up, and we're here.
And I'm
And
curious-
so it has been a tremendous experience
Yeah, I was
to
going to
run.
say, what's it like running for the assembly versus running
Oh.
for city council?
It's a huge.
Right. I mean, it's completely different. I mean, I knew that I would look to draw on my city council tenure as mayor and my work kind of in fact-based policy at UC Davis, and we'd carry that out to the district and see if we could find the connections. I have to say I was really taken by surprise as I got out to the district and saw all the different ways in which the district is really unified. People think this is 6 counties, from Williams to Rohnert Park, all the way down to Clarksburg, up to
Right.
Knights Landing, all of Napa, all of Lake County. And the interest in higher education and quality K through 12 education, that is absolutely universal. Water is a dominant issue, whether we're talking about rights or quality, and we found great resonance with the district on that. And then certainly fiscal sustainability, which has, I think, really been the hallmark of my time on the city council. Every county, every city is dealing with exactly those kinds of issues. So, getting out to the district, it's a completely different world. I mean, when you're running in
Yeah.
Davis,
Yeah.
you're in your
You're on
your
your
element.
little- right.
You know everybody. You know
Yeah.
every issue. You know
Right.
your paper and so on. Once you get out of it, there's Sacramento, there's
Yeah.
Rohnert Park, there's all of these
Right.
different people. There's a whole set of new players and interest groups in a good way. The
Yeah.
community groups that are very active all over the district, you get to know them. And I found the reception for what I've done, what we've done here in Davis during my tenure was tremendous. So we'll see how the night
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
There's really 3 huge waves of votes
Right.
that are going to come in.
Right. Right.
There's the early, absentee, and
Right.
we know Napa has a much stronger presence
Right.
in absentee than anywhere else in the district. And then there'll be, of course, the votes from tonight. And then there's going to be the absentees that were
today.
turned in
Today.
today.
Right.
Yes, we've been talking
And
about that.
I haven't seen the results, but I will say that as our campaign progressed, and as others went negative, and as we weren't part of that, and as we said we won't be part of it, and we're instructing everybody aligned with us not to be part of it, I think our campaign did very, very well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to those votes, especially those that were cast today.
Right.
And those, that's really at least the next 2 batches that we're going to see. So
Right.
we'll see what it says, but
Right.
what a
Right.
great experience
Right.
this has been.
Yeah.
Right. No, undoubtedly. And great lawn signs, great buttons.
I know a
Very
lot of
memorable.
people were really questioning why both of you decided to run at the same time. So did you guys even confer, or just you made up your minds independently? And
Well, Leah and Andrea, for me personally, it's been a great opportunity to serve for 4 years, to complete my term. And this, to me, seemed like the perfect next step. And so I was delighted to run. It might have been nice for it to be different, but it's a
Right.
democracy.
Right,
And
right.
we each make our
right.
decisions.
Very
And so
good.
on.
Yeah.
Right. No, and you don't get to pick your opponents, and you can't really tell someone else, hey, would you get off the ballot? I mean, that's so. I think you both handled it gracefully.
Thank you.
City council meetings could have been a lot more contentious, and I didn't see that. So I applaud you for that. But and the results are early. I would like to see the Secretary of State's results on District 4, because the Yolo County results had Dan Wolk and Charlie as 1 and 2, and you're right in there as 3. But if we could see the Secretary of State's results, that would be district-wide, just to give you an idea, because that then has Mr. Dodd and Charlie Shout.
so
as
Leslie,
1 and
were you
2.
at the farmers market around this whole district, or did you pretty much stay in Davis?
No, I was all over the district with Joe.
Yeah.
and
gosh.
It must have been
Seen
quite a
lots of
learning
counties.
It was
experience.
great. And we had so many volunteers, Davis volunteers, go with us to other parts of the district.
Wow.
And canvas
Yeah.
with us and make new friends and
Yeah.
really form some understanding of the concerns they had in their community, which were similar to the concerns
Do
our
they,
volunteers
do
had.
they also have big farmers markets like we do, that you had a
They have big
table?
farms.
Well, we like to think Davis.
They have big farms.
But,
Yeah.
but Leah, to your question, people had said to me, you're going to find that once you try to go out of Davis,
Yeah.
it's very different. And I couldn't disagree more. When you go to Rohnert Park, and they're a university community, they have Sonoma State, they have some of the same town gown issues. They want to leverage their university for economic development. They want to make sure their children can go to the university. And the conversations over there were spectacular. You go to Napa, and you share the ag values that we have for open space. In fact, ag open space preservation in Napa and Sonoma arguably are a bit ahead of where we are in Yolo County. So I found myself learning about how they do different things to preserve ag land over there. So I found the district very unified. It's an ag district. We shouldn't forget that. I mean, this is the Coast Range. This is the rice farmers. This is the wine grapes. This is cattle. This is Sonoma Valley as
This
it
is
rolls
tomatoes.
over. This is tomatoes and nuts over here in Yolo, and the interest in ag and communities that support the ag, and ag supporting the communities. There's a whole host of things, from affordable housing to distribution services and so on, that are really universal. So we saw that. It was really exciting for me.
I bet.
It was unexpected.
Yeah, that's wonderful to hear, because I know it's a new district, 2 years old, but a new district. This is the first election being held in the new district, and for us it seems so much more spread out than we were, much more compact before. But it's good to hear, and I'm glad that there is more, and there are so many more things that unite us than divide us. I know you probably have a few people you want to thank, and we're being told that the next guest is here and mic'd up. So do you have a few people watching on TV or listening on the radio, or that you'd like to thank?
What I want to thank, we had over 750 individual donors to this campaign. It truly was a grassroots effort. Nobody owned this. In the end, we had somewhere around 25 volunteers who were, not 24/7, but for 13 months, those people were everywhere we needed them to be, whether it was working on position papers or the website or building the database. And to everybody who was part of the campaign, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I have two thank yous.
Yes, Leslie, please.
Definitely our other campaign coordinator, Davis resident Michael Larson, and Joe's wife Janet was a strong member of
Spectacular.
our team.
Great.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
family.
And it must have been really uplifting to get a check from somebody outside Yolo County that supported you and sent a check in.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. One of the things we didn't expect at all, but was so heartening, 5 of the independent newspapers around the district, after interviewing all the candidates, endorsed our campaign. So, in the end, the Enterprise, the Bee, the Daily Democrat, the Santa Rosa Press Democrat, and the Fairfield Daily Republic. Wow, that was adding that to the Sierra Club and the California League of Conservation Voters. We really had a lot of wind in our
A
sails.
nice way to
You
finish
did.
out
You
the
did.
day.
Absolutely.
You did.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll let you get back to your party. It's always good to see
Thank you.
Yeah.
And great that you stuck with it. You did a city race. Now you've done an assembly race.
Yeah.
People will be calling you.
Yes.
Hopefully not too early tomorrow. Seeing what you're interested in doing next. But we appreciate it. We'll be watching the results, and
Good.
we might see you out there on the party scene if they let us out of here before midnight.
Perfect. We'd love it. We'd love it.
We're glad to have you come in, and I would love to see the results on the superintendent of schools race on the Yolo County website, but it looks like they had something else queued up for me, so we'll do our best to read it. Oh, that's the this 4th Assembly District race, and I think it's the same results as we saw before, still with just absentees, and it's actually so far away that I can't see it. So sorry to admit that I'm 47, and Vic Lim was right. I do need glasses, and I have them on. At any rate, if we could see the Secretary of State's results on the Yolo County Superintendent of Schools race. That's another one that has been hotly contested here in Davis and around the county. but doesn't look like Yolo County Elections website superintendent of schools is not coming up. So that's okay. There's no results yet. Okay, on that, I'm getting notes that I can't read. Maybe I need to go back and get my glasses checked. Well, in the meantime, we are joined here by our Assemblywoman, Mariko Yamada, and Autumn LaBe-Renault, Executive Director of this fabulous community resource here, Davis Media Access. And I know that Assemblywoman Yamada has something that she would like to present.
I do.
So we'll let her do that here first. I'll hand over the mic,
Well,
so to
thank
speak.
you very much. Well, first of all, good evening to you both. It's wonderful to join you again for another exciting election night, and one that is for me a little bit different than years past, because I think this is the first time I've not been on a ballot or chairing a campaign of some sort
Since the
in the
90s.
last, something like that. So tonight it is a pleasure really for me to join you, because on your 25th year
I know.
of service to the community of Davis, and I had asked Autumn earlier about, have you ever received an official assembly resolution? And the answer to that was no. And all these years that I've been coming to the station, I have not seen an assembly resolution. So on behalf of the California Assembly, I want to present to you this recognition. Thank you very much, Andrea.
I'm still staffing.
Yeah.
After
all these years, yes. Plus, I can't breathe without my glasses now. But I just want to say that as a former board member of then DCTV and now DMA, for the many contributions that you and all of your staff and volunteers have made to the enrichment of the community of Davis and providing this kind of public service to all of us, me included. I just want to be sure that you are recognized.
Thank you.
And that this assembly resolution will be a testament, and who knows, to the next 25 years.
Thank you
of,
so much.
What's yet to come. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mariko.
Thank you very much.
And I just hope everyone here can see it at home. It probably has some glare on it, so I'll tilt it a little bit that way. And on behalf of all of us at Davis Media Access, thank you so much for honoring us with this. And I do like to think, long live community media.
Absolutely.
So, with that said, I'm not usually on camera election night. My place is behind the scenes, so I'm going to duck back out and let you converse with these lovely ladies. And thank you so much for this
Congratulations
and for
again.
coming in.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Autumn.
Thank you.
It is unusual to see Autumn in the studio.
It is.
makes
So
us-
see?
It makes us worry that, there's a catastrophe out there. No, we knew.
No, it's
We
all
knew.
under control.
Yeah, as far as we know, and that's the way we like it. So it is an unusual election season for you. I know that I got an earlier taste of what it is not to be involved in elections every time there's one that comes up.
True.
A couple of years ago, I backed away from it and started this job and or this volunteer gig, and so I kind of lay low during election season, and it's really, really odd. And this had to have been really, really odd for you.
Well, it's a little unusual because, of course, as you know, because we've all worked together for so many years here in Davis, it's really just, one election to another, and there's always something very exciting going on. But, there are times when it's good to take a little break and sort of step back and do a little observation.
And reevaluate what you would like to do in 2 years.
That's true.
But tell us about some of your favorite accomplishments being in the Assembly.
Well, the 6 years have gone by rather quickly. It's kind of amazing that it's been 6 years already. But I think the first 4 years I can just characterize really as some of the toughest years that I've ever experienced in any job anywhere that I've worked over the past 40 years. This last couple of years, though, I think have really provided the pathway for us to begin to come back from the recession, the depression. Depends on how you look at it. There are still people that are struggling, and so it's still not over. But I think for me, as you know, my principal policy area was at the county and continued through the Assembly years on my favorite topic, which is aging and
Aging.
long-term care. And,
Right.
and may we all
Yes.
live
Be
a
so
very
fortunate. Yes.
long life. As they
Yes.
say,
Yes.
you know, do not, you know, criticize or do not complain about long life, because it's a privilege denied to many.
It is.
But, you know, it has been a pleasure for me to try to continue to advance the aging agenda, because for all of the younger listeners out there, you know, in about 20 years, 20% of California is going to be 65 years of age and over. And so that means 1 in 5 are going to be, you know, seniors. And it's something.
Wonder where I'll be in that.
Well, I think we're all very youthful, actually,
Yes,
but I will be
yes,
joining that club next year.
yes.
So, you know, that's just the opportunity to do that work has been very satisfying. But, you know, we had to take some really horrible actions, and there's
Budget
many
cuts.
times affecting the elderly as well as
Right.
children. The most vulnerable always are the ones that are disproportionately and negatively affected. But,
And you had that 100 birthday club that you
absolutely. It's a different kind of century club. You know, we had a
Right.
century club of
That's
a
right.
different sort,
Back-
but this is the
back in the
century
day.
circle, yeah.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, when we started that program, actually it took me a year to sort of get, you know, everything put into place. But we started that program in 2010. We already have over 90
that you've attended.
90, you know, 90 centenarians.
Wow.
And so, you know, there's going to be a lot more of us. So look
Yeah.
out, everyone.
That's
you know.
right. That's right.
Aging is not what it used to be. It's called aging and raging now.
Well, and it is. I mean, that you're going to join the club that has a significant birthday in 1 year. You know, you're nowhere near ready to stop, to slow down. I mean, maybe take a brief pause after your duties are over in December. But knowing you're not retiring.
Yeah, is your brain doing some quiet thinking?
Well, you know, this is my 40th year in public service. Because I pretty much started working right after graduate school in 1974. You know, when I say that sometimes to some of the young people around, they say, "Oh, well, you know, that's a lot."
I wasn't even born then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you know you have arrived when they say, "Oh, that was like 20 years before I was born."
Yeah.
But I find it, you know, just great to be around all ages. But there is one trip that I already have planned, and it's one that I've been wanting to go on for several years. But it's always in the middle of June, which is what? It's budget time
Right.
in the state of
Right.
California.
Right.
So no can do, no
Right.
can leave the state
No,
mid-June.
no.
But there is a professor of Black history, Black studies at Solano Community College by the name of Dr. Karen McCord, and she does the tour of the Deep South every middle of June. And so I have my seat reserved for next June to go on that trip. We'll fly into Memphis and then get on a bus, not the same kind of buses that the Freedom Riders were on.
But
I'm sure this will be a lot more comfortable, but we'll be going to all of the iconic sites, civil rights sites in the South, and it's just something that I've always wanted to do. You know, every time we would see John Pamprin and Terry
Yes.
Turner and Dick
Right.
Holdstock,
Right.
and
Yes,
you know,
the
God
Freedom
rest
Riders.
Terry Turner's soul.
Yes.
They would talk about going there,
Yes.
and you know, I have never had that opportunity, so I'm going to go do that, and we'll see,
But are you
what the
going
future's going to
visit
bring.
some unpleasant sites?
I'm sure there. Well,
I mean,
you know,
what's-
sure. I think
Are disturbing,
sure.
you know,
sure. I think there will
underserved
be.
classes?
I'm sure it will be disturbing, but you know, we see the rollback on voting rights that are not dissimilar to what we fought for in 1965. That's 50 years ago next year. And so I think, you know, even though it's maybe not quite the same it was 50 years ago, it's kind of like Back to the Future, and we know what we have to recommit ourselves
It
to
is.
fight
It's-
for.
Well,
I
just
know
one
you have-
second.
yes.
Just 1 second. It's 9 o'clock, and I'll get fired from my volunteer job. And yes, if you're in Davis, you know you can get fired from a volunteer job. This is the top of the hour, and actually, my dear friend was going to read the top of the hour at 9 o'clock, so I'll hand it over
All right.
to her.
So
Okay.
Andrea and I are obviously enjoy doing our little community service at the station here, but it couldn't been done without the staff that pulls all of this together. So we'd like to say thank you to our good friend Diane.
Dadoshka, who's the director.
Right. I'm always thinking of cookies when I think of that. Our floor manager is Dan. Our cameras
I love you
that keep
too.
us informed are Bryce Parker, Bill Larfing, and Cliff Gamble. And of course, our audio board and phones are Tyler. Floor manager for our guests are Una. And our technical support is Derek, Alex, and Jeff Shaw.
Okay.
And of course, where would we be without our producer, our executive director, Autumn LeBay
That's right.
Renault, who we all dearly love.
Absolutely.
And we need to be sure and tell you that you're watching local cable channel 15 on Comcast Cable. You're viewing us over the internet at davismedia.org or listening to us on KDRT, low power FM at 95.7. So
And that would be channel 17 on your cable.
channel
so-
15.
oh, channel
If they go to
15.
channel 17,
Yeah.
they'll see some,
Oh.
you know, graduation
Yeah.
or,
Well,
that's good too,
or,
but-
Right,
you know,
right.
high school,
Yeah,
you know, something
yeah.
from the
Yeah.
Brunel
Right,
Performing
channel
Arts
15.
Center. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
change the channel, please.
No, stay tuned.
Yes, exactly.
We got lots more
Scintillating
fun
coverage.
coming.
That's right.
Exactly, exactly.
So-
And we would love to see the Yolo County election site
Yes.
come up and show us either Yolo County Superintendent of Schools or City Council. Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Ask and you shall receive. It looks like it's still, there's a few precincts there. Those are probably Woodland precincts. They're closer to the county office and can get their ballots in earlier. Not earlier, but as soon as they shut down.
Right.
It looks like Jesse has just a narrow lead there, 51%, and Mr. Neustadt at 49. So that will be a race that will go into the wee hours of the morning and perhaps into the days ahead. So we don't need to look at any results for you because the results are already
Yeah.
in. You've done a fabulous job.
It's been a great honor to do that.
And it's been a pleasure knowing the Assemblywoman on a personal level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do go
That
back
rarely happens.
quite a
Yeah.
number of years.
It will
Yes.
not be an Assemblywoman.
That's true.
For sure.
I will be turning into a pumpkin shortly.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
you
It
know,
won't be a
November
woman.
30th.
Yeah.
And it might not be anybody from Yolo
Yeah.
County.
Well, you know, there's still that other campaign to do in November,
Right.
so we shall see.
Right,
But,
right.
And
right.
you can walk, later you can walk down the streets and people will still ask you questions.
Well, Thank you, Leah.
They
We'll try
will.
to give them a
Yes.
good answer.
They will, they will. She'll have
You've been-
office hours at the
You've
senior
been
center.
fair to everybody.
Thank you.
Well, maybe not everybody. Nobody can be. But
Well,
You were well
it's been a great
respected.
honor to do so. So we still have a few
Oh,
months to go.
You still
Yes.
have session to close
Right.
out and
We
a
do.
budget to get through, and
do.
and so you've got a lot of work to go back to at the Capitol. This
Yeah.
isn't over yet,
Right.
but thank you for your years of service, and we look forward to seeing you back in here, telling us
Yeah.
what you're doing next,
Yes.
and
Okay.
and keeping us posted.
We'll have some announcements, you know, at the right time.
At the right time.
That's
you,
right.
you are always very judicious that way. She could have run for judge. Oh,
No,
can't.
no. Have to have a law degree.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Or at
Well,
least pass the bar.
Yes.
anyway.
yes.
and a bar number.
Yes. So thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
It's great to
and
see you.
we hope to see you around town shortly.
Always a pleasure.
And maybe
to see
even
you
this
both.
evening.
Absolutely.
Out at a party
All
sometime.
right. We'll see you then.
So we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
you for coming in, and thanks for the assembly resolution. 25 years
Yes.
is really amazing in local media. So if we could look at the city races again, now that there's some precincts reporting from Yolo County. Let's see if that. No, it's still showing 0. Maybe it hasn't been refreshed, or maybe the Davis precincts just haven't.
Made it to Woodland yet. Gosh, they've had an hour to get there.
Yeah, there's a real system to everything, and it takes time. And so we are joined now by Sheila Allen here in the studio. Welcome.
Thank you.
And beautiful outfit, and you got your I voted sticker to stay.
Yes.
Mine kept flying off, and at one point I almost had it stuck on my glasses.
It's my second outfit of the day too, so it's a good one.
Oh, it's a very good one. The lucky sticker. Good, good. So, how are you doing this evening? I'm sure you've been busy all day today. Started early.
Yeah, I started early by going around making sure the signs were all in place, and I was down with the Democrats doing some phone calling, and then on social media, updating Facebook and such. And now there's a party going on without me. So hello, party.
Yes, yes. Well, you'll be back there soon.
Yeah.
She'll join you again soon. So you've seen the results. It looks like they haven't changed,
Yeah.
but it's early,
very low numbers. So.
Very, very early. So it will be into the wee hours of the morning probably. And with this trend of people dropping off absentee ballots at the polling place, it could go into the next couple of days.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about that at the party. Even at the people at the party, there were like 5 or 6 people at the party who said, oh yeah, I had my absentee ballot that I put in there. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a while.
Yeah, and you know, you try to tell people, send it back. Take it, drop it by in Yolo County in the basement there. You know, it's really easy, and then it gets counted along with the votes tonight. The ones that were dropped off, they have to take time in the next few days to verify those signatures and to open those up. Right. And so they really are almost like a provisional ballot. They're not. Provisional ballots take even more judicious scrutiny, but it's people think that by putting it in there that gets thrown into the machine tonight, and there's too much already going in the machine
okay,
tonight.
I'm patient. I can wait.
Yes.
So what are your plans when you are elected to the city council? You have any issues that you'll be have high priority, or?
Yeah, well, the first thing that we have to do is we need to hire a permanent city manager. So that would be the very first task. And they've put things into place, and it was very nice of the current council to wait to get somebody permanent until we have had the election. So we have an interim person kind of holding the reins at the moment. But that would be the first thing that needs to be done. And then looking at the budget issues, of course, there has been discussions of perhaps a parcel tax in the fall. That has to be something that by the calendar would need to be done in the next few weeks. So right away they'd need to get to work on, or I would too, need to get to work on something like that if it were to happen in November. That decision hasn't been decided yet. And then one thing that's been a social issue that's been increasing in Davis is homelessness. And there was there's an ongoing group of elected officials that, because I'm on the school board now, I get to be a part of, that looks, it's all current elected officials, school district, city, and county, and we have every other month meetings, and the last week was on homelessness. So we're trying to get our hands around to better define it, what is the issue with it, and then how can we as a community address it. So I'd really like to.
It's an increasing issue too.
I think so, and I think the data on it is a little squishy. So I think we'd like to. They're talking about how we can better get some more specific numbers on the population, and there are subsets of the homeless population that we need to take a look at. So
how did you like having a well-liked political sign from Rich Rifkin's
I liked
column?
it. It's good to be number one.
Yeah.
Very easy to read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
easy to read.
well, kudos to my friend and campaign manager Rich Reed. That was actually very similar to my school board one.
Okay. Yes.
So it was basically Sheila Allen School Board.
Yes. Yeah.
And that actually when we started, I just copied and pasted over the top till the new ones came.
Yeah.
So it was important to us to have something that when you just looked to the side or looked in the distance, you could read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
Totally
smart.
agree.
Very, very smart.
Yeah.
Thanks. Had all the information you needed.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of
And
people put websites and stuff. I mean, my gosh, if you got that close, you've been in an accident.
Yeah.
You know, the airbag has gone off.
That's what your website's for.
Yes, exactly. So you've obviously run other campaigns. You're on the school board. You've been reelected to the school board. What about this campaign surprised you? What about being out there with the voters and just knocking on doors and talking to people? What surprised you this time?
Yeah, this one, what was different, because I ran 7 campaigns, so I did 5 parcel taxes and 2 of my own campaigns. And what was really different this time is the social media anonymous negativity. That was something that really surprised me. And I would generally, I started reading it, and then it was like giving me a stomach ache. I'm like, I'm not going to look at that anymore, because people would say things, false things about me. I mean, I am totally fine, because I have a 9-year record of work that I've done. So if you don't agree with a decision that I've had or a policy decision, I accept that, because that's part of being an elected official. But just the nastiness, anonymous nastiness, that surprised me.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I think that's societal. That's not limited to Davis.
Right.
That doesn't make it any easier. But and I mean, there's even rap songs about hiding behind the keyboard and posting things anonymously, and so it is a problem, and I think it will probably be an increasing problem in campaigns.
Yeah, well, and I don't think it has to be. Well, especially for something like the Enterprise, I would hope that they would stop allowing anonymous posts. The Sacramento Bee doesn't allow it.
Right.
If you're going to say something, put your name behind it, is my
Exactly.
opinion. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether it's true or false, put your name on it.
Yeah. And just in general, like walking and knocking on doors, that's something that I really like. I was a visiting nurse for many years, so I kind of have I enjoy going and knocking on a random person's door and say, hi, here I am.
Yeah.
And so it's always fun to see who opens the door, because now I've been involved in town long enough that the door open up, it'll be one of our teachers. I'm like, oh, hi, I didn't know you lived here. Or I'll meet somebody, as just an example, a retired engineer from the city who said, here's how it was, and here's how where the direction that we need to go, and this is the one thing you need to know about. Like, super. If I went to knock on your door, I never would have known that.
Exactly. All the people with the secret information, come in and I'll tell you.
No, I really enjoy walking. That was something that I always liked.
But did you find people were at home?
Yeah, the best time, just anyone who's going to be running a campaign, the best time is Sunday afternoons.
Okay.
Because people are back from their weekend things.
Yeah.
So that's often when.
Just watch out for sports games. If it's the Giants or the Niners or something, you could be in deep doo-doo.
Right, and then you have to finish before dinner, because you don't want somebody to open the door and say, I'm having dinner.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now it's time to start walking.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, you've run a great race. Your lawn signs are definitely number one. We'll anxiously await more results, and it may be a day or two before we know. But we wish you the best, and it will be interesting to see as the results come in. But we know you've run a clean campaign,
and you had the fire in the belly to get up and do it.
Yeah. Well, because I gave a quick speech to the people that are at my party right now. But I really love Davis, and no matter what happens with this election, that it just warms my heart to see the room full of people there, and just out in the community of really good people. And this is a really great community. So if elected, I will serve, and if not, there's lots of things that need to be done in town, and I'm happy to help out with whatever needs to happen.
That's great to hear.
Nice.
That's great to hear. Thanks for coming in, Sheila.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're glad you could be here. Well, we will take a look at the Yolo County Elections website, and I will let Diane pick what we get to see.
City Council.
Yeah, we looked at City Council just a minute ago, and it still said the
It hasn't changed.
It still hasn't changed. Okay, well, that's not good.
Yeah.
You can go to something else.
Yeah.
Yes. So County Supervisor, it looks like Oscar Villegas with the absentee votes is leading that race. Almost 60%, 59.8.
This is in West Sacramento?
That's in West Sacramento.
West Sacramento.
And Clarksburg. It's District 1. And then now we're on to the Superior Court Judge, Department 3. And Ms. Baronio, Commissioner Baronio, looks like will be Judge Baronio. If the results hold up as they are, that's 34 of 128 precincts reporting. So that's more than just absentees. And it looks like Freddie Oakley's results are about 67% to 32% with 34 of the precincts reporting, which is probably parts of Woodland and absentee ballots from the county. We have another guest here on the couch to join us and to tell us about how this campaign was different than all of the other campaigns he's done. But we have
This
John.
isn't your first rodeo, that's for sure.
And he has on the cowboy boots to prove
right.
it. John Munn, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
We just had the city council results up. It's It's still just the absentees,
Yeah.
early days, but you're up there in the running for one of the 2 seats. In fact, if I have it memorized, you are currently in number 2 behind Mr. Davis.
By a little bit.
By just a little bit. So, and those are just the absentee ballots, so there's still lots of ballots to count. And as Leah said, this is not your first rodeo.
Right.
So what convinced you to run for the city council?
Really, it was because of Measure P and the fact that all of the other candidates were opposed to it.
Yeah.
And I was working very hard to qualify it and supported it and believed that there should be a voice of support as we went through all of the forums and the other activities that the candidates go through. And once I got involved, then I started to learn about other issues at the city having to do with the budget, where it became a matter of pretty great concern about what's going to happen to Davis in the future and what we can afford in order to keep the place that we've come to love.
Right. We heard about that structural deficit earlier this evening, really at the top of this program, with the 2 council members in, Brett Lee and Lucas Frericks were talking to us about $5 million structural deficit. It sounds huge. I mean, so I know if Measure O passes, that helps some, and it looked like in early returns it's leading. Measure P, though, in early returns is also leading on the yes side.
So far.
So, and once again, just absentee results, so it's just a sampling. But a lot of times, as the absentee votes go, so goes the night. So your yes on P efforts may have paid off.
Yes on P looks like it might be comfortably ahead, but the difference between Councilwoman Swanson and myself is very small. So I think we're just going to have to wait to know what the result is there.
It could be. I mean, it could be days. I mean, it could, you just never, because with so many people turning in absentee ballots today, it takes a while for those to be verified and opened and counted.
Yes.
So what was it like being on the campaign trail for city council with the other candidates, though, John?
I was impressed, actually, by just the demeanor of all of the candidates. I didn't feel that there was anyone involved who wouldn't have done well on the council.
Very clean campaign, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't see any indication that there was any kind of underhanded activity going on at all.
No, we didn't hear about the lawn sign stealing or the, I mean, Sheila Allen referenced some negative anonymous postings on some different websites, and that's unfortunate.
Yes,
it's unfortunate. I hope that some people will take a look at that and stop allowing anonymous postings.
And I saw that, and I just didn't think that was associated with another campaign, but you're right. And anonymous criticism is pretty hard to refute. That's
right. No, it's hard to answer anonymous mail. You just don't know where to send the answer to. So, but you've been on the school board. You've served this community. You may be heading back into serving this community in a different way, and in perhaps even a more demanding way. City Council. I know the school board members would probably meet me in the parking lot after the show if I say that they have it easier, but they do have fewer meetings normally, and you're looking at picking a new, recruiting a new city manager and working on, getting some stability to that position.
I've actually been through that before on the school board, because when I entered there, pretty much all of the top administrative staff was retiring, so we did replace the superintendent and most of his top assistants.
Right, that's right.
Who was the superintendent, John, at that time, though?
Well, Floyd Finocchio was a temporary, and he made it very clear that this was temporary. And so
much like the current city manager, that it's temporary.
So I think that what I would say between the schools and the city is just a more complex place. I mean, it has more programs, it has more employees, It has a lot of separate funds that add up to a big budget. One of the reasons that $5 million deficit is as important as it is because that's against the approximately $40 to $50 million general fund. It's not against the whole city budget, which is close to $200 million now.
Right, right.
So $5 million compared to 45 is a big chunk.
Right. No, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah, I was told that I might do some thank yous here.
Yes,
and
please
so
do.
I wanted to do that,
Please
and it
do.
might
Please do.
reflect a little bit on my campaign because
Please
it was
do.
different than what I've done in the past. Because
Please do.
there were a lot of people that helped, and I'm going to name just a few of them, because if I tried to name everybody, one, there wouldn't be time, and two, I'd forget somebody and I'd get in trouble.
That's right. That's right.
But I think some people that I really want to point out are first Pam Nyberg, who actually did the organization and the coordination for Measure P and brought me into that campaign so that I was able to benefit from a lot of their work. Alzada Knickerbocker, who introduced me to the community, a lot of folks that I didn't know even though I'd been around for a long time, and then who really tirelessly worked on the campaign. Holly Bishop, who helped me design my sign and my materials, and so I greatly appreciated that. Michael Harrington, he's the fellow that kept pushing me to do this and then kept pushing me to actually campaign. Might say that Mike was kind of pushy about the whole thing, but Don and Nancy Price, and what I can say about Don and Nancy is they just introduced me to a whole new group of voters in Davis.
A whole new group of friends.
And friends. What I found was that people of divergent viewpoints can come together on something like a concern about finances. And that was my purpose for running. As I've told people at forums, there aren't any hidden agendas here. This is really all about trying to keep the city of Davis in good fiscal health. And Glenn Holderreed and Joanne Bowen, who really led and helped with both phone and precinct work. I mean, they just all the time. And there were a lot of other volunteers put in hours into mailers and phone calling. But there's two people that I really need to mention here. And one of them is my daughter Kimberly, who came down from Oregon to help me with the day-to-day activities of the campaign. And she also helped design a lot of the mailer and advertising.
She did a good job.
I've really appreciated that. And my wife Shelley, who basically kept everything going while I was ignoring it, including all the things around the house that I wasn't getting done anymore.
That's right.
I must say, all the campaigning hasn't aged you at all.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? He looks.
I've got a good tan now. That's the main difference.
Yes. You wear your sunscreen though. But it's amazing. He looks the same.
You
as he
don't
did
age at all.
when he was on the school board.
My hair is a different color.
But you still have it.
Yes.
That's.
I
remind my barber about that when he starts making comments.
So what will be one of the first issues you tackle when you do win the council race?
Well, I think the current council has already sort of ordained that, and that'll be the Proposition 218 process that we'll be going through to adopt different water rates. Now, the council has committed to do that whether Measure P passes or not.
Right.
So at this point, what Measure P does is it just ensures that nobody's going to change their mind. But it could also bring up some issues as we go along that we'll have to deal with too. But I think that'll be one of the early ones. And then there's the city manager issue. Small deal of getting somebody who can be in charge of staff.
And 5 personalities.
At least.
At least, right.
I would say the only thing that concerns me about that is that the city council is a little more political than the school board was. When I was on the school board, I served with 4 folks who thought they'd elected a crazy conservative and didn't know what to expect. And what I found out was that regardless of people's labels, when it came to an issue, they didn't necessarily see eye to eye or even necessarily fit the label.
Right.
And so I got to be the third vote on a lot of issues, and we worked well together. And there wasn't any acrimony that might come from not agreeing politically. We never even, in fact, we never even talked about the politics, other than maybe grousing about money that the state was or wasn't sending, since schools are largely funded through the state. And that is a difference with the city.
Big difference, big difference. And they're all doing this local control funding, and some school districts are winning and some school districts are losing, and all having to go through a whole new process. So that's a whole, be glad you're not in that.
Districts are winning and losing, but they're winning and losing on the Prop 30 money, you know, the additional money is what's going on there.
Right. No, but be glad, I think the city council may actually be a little easier for a few months than the school board. But although they do have a superintendent and they're not looking for one right now, so that's
and I don't want to talk like I'm going to be the councilman. This is just general about the city, because right now the vote is so close that as Leah mentioned, we might have to wait for a day until those absentee ballots get counted to actually know.
Right. No, it could be. I know that Freddie Oakley and her team will do everything they can to have the results as quickly and as accurately as possible. But they take the accuracy seriously, as do, I think, all of the clerk recorders across the state. And so it could be a few days, and they really have statutorily a few weeks to certify that vote. So
what's unusual about tonight is that apparently what I've been informed about is that a lot of absentee ballots got dropped at polling places.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't count those on election night.
No, they don't
you
get
have to
counted
open them,
tonight.
you have to verify them, and then you have to count them later.
Right. They don't get counted until at the earliest tomorrow, and really into the week. So because there's tonight, they're all about counting the votes that were actually cast today.
Yeah.
So it's a education that we need to bring to campaigns for future. That really does slow down the process.
Yeah, I've worked at polling places, and I'd really recommend it, because you learn a lot about the process of voting.
Right.
And I've always found that to be both interesting and fascinating.
It is amazing. It is, and they do wonderful work. It's a long day, and we're glad that they do it. We're glad that you could stop by tonight, and we'll watch the results. We know you probably have a party to get back to. Glad that you remembered to thank everyone, including your wife, because the family is always involved in the race. Whether you say no, you won't have to do anything, that never holds up.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, Shelley's too smart to believe that.
Yeah. Well, she's been through this before.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
John.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we will look at. I guess we've got the judges' race up here again. It doesn't look like it's changed much. Commissioner Baronio is in the lead by a great stretch, and it would look like she's going to be Judge Baronio before the end of the evening. We will work on that, and I believe that the results have just vanished.
And speaking of the judges,
the results have just vanished off my screen. But come on over. We both brushed our teeth and put closer. Yeah, no one has wanted to get very close tonight. That's okay. I'm now surrounded by Rosenbergs. I'm outnumbered and outmanned.
By the way, I've been watching the two of you. You're doing a really fine job.
Thank you.
If no one has told you that
No.
yet.
Well, actually, at the top of the show, the two guys with the good hair, did you see them?
I hate that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too. I love them, but I hate the hair. It bothers me because. But anyway, they thanked us. Of course, they'd only seen about 10 minutes, so they didn't know. We could have really
the
messed
night was
it up.
young.
Yeah, yes, we weren't. But yes.
So tell us about all this confusion on this judicial race, whether you had to live in Yolo County, or even the confusion about having a bar number. Give us some more insight on
And
that.
by that, she doesn't mean a bar like where you serve
Well,
drinks.
the barcode I always
Yes,
said
yes,
was
yes.
joked about.
Well, judicial races are different.
Yeah.
And they kind of surprise people. I don't think people are used to seeing judicial races. And let me explain why they're different and how they're different. First of all, judges in California are elected.
Right.
In some states, they're not. Federal judges are not elected. They're all appointed. Now, to become a judge in California, about 95% of the people who are judges are there because they were appointed by the governor.
Right.
Subsequently, they have to stand for election every 6 years. There is a small percentage who become judges for the first time by way of election.
Right.
And we have such a situation right now in the election going on in Yolo. The last time that happened was 24 years ago.
And it was the guy who
Exactly.
she's potentially replacing,
Right.
Judge Mock.
Judge Mock ran for an open seat. The other people running at the time were Jerry Adler, remember Jerry Adler?
Correct.
Right.
And Fidel Martinez from West Sacramento.
Right.
The three of them ran.
Right.
And in the primary election, Mock received, I think, 48% of the vote.
And he needed 50.
And he needed 50 plus one. Jerry Adler got something like 28%. And then Jerry Adler, who's really a fine gentleman, very noble guy, said, you know what, I'm not going to campaign. I have to make up too much ground. And so Steve Mock was ultimately elected. But that was because it was an open seat. The person filling the seat just retired at the end of his term.
Right.
And therefore it became an open seat. So that's what happened this time. And 4 people took papers out to run for the seat. Now, that's at the trial court, the Superior Court
Right.
level. Judges are elected. We also have justices who serve at the courts of appeal
Right.
and at the Supreme Court. They also have to stand for election. But that's different, a
Right.
different election. You don't get to run against them.
No, it's up or down.
It's up or down. They are put on the ballot for what's called a retention election every 12 years.
Right.
You either vote for them or against them.
Right.
And typically they are retained, although a few years ago we had 3 members of the California Supreme Court who were not retained, including Rose Bird.
Correct.
So the reason most people in the community are not familiar with judge elections is we don't see it on the ballot.
Right.
For example, Ed Prieto is in a political office, sheriff.
Right.
He's running, he's unopposed,
Right.
he's on the ballot.
Right.
Right.
Jeff Reisig,
Right.
Same.
he's on the ballot, even though he's not opposed.
Right.
And
Cass
Cass.
Sylvia is on the ballot. There are others on the ballot.
Right.
But if a judge has no opposition,
You don't.
we don't get listed on the ballot.
Right.
And so
Right.
we don't see it that often.
Right.
So yes, judges are elected and people vote for judges in California.
And I know there was some confusion, and I certainly did everything I could to clarify. People asked, well, you know, how can all of the judges in Yolo County endorse someone? How can a judge endorse someone in a political race?
Right, right.
And there's only one endorsement that you can make.
Right.
And that's for a judicial race.
Well, let me answer a couple questions. Leah asked, do you have to live in the county to be a judge? And the answer is no, you do not. The judges are statewide constitutional officers. We have jurisdiction statewide, and you're assigned to a county. You don't have to live in the county to serve as a judge in that county. And your question was with regard to
endorsements. 'Cause,
endorsements.
you know, people said, I got this mailer, and there they all are in their
Right.
black robes, and I didn't think that they could take a position. Well, of course, judges take a position every day
When
in
you-
their own courtroom. But
when you become a judge, you get a book that's this thick. 90% of it is things you cannot do. And one of the things you can't do is be involved in politics.
Right.
So I can't put up lawn signs. I can't endorse candidates as a judge, with one exception. The exception is in a judicial race.
Right.
And it makes sense because if judges have to run for office,
Right.
then judges can participate in judicial elections, and so we have the right to endorse, to support, to have our picture taken, supporting. In fact, the argument is we have a responsibility to educate, we have a responsibility in the administration of justice, and we have some insight into who might be a good judge.
Right.
And in this case, all the judges supported the candidate that was running for that.
Yeah,
Was
in this
unanimous?
in this particular case, and that doesn't happen.
No,
everywhere.
Right,
Believe me.
right, no.
Very
There are-
unusual.
There are other counties where the judges are split, but in this particular county, the judges all independently decided to endorse Commissioner Baronio, which in a way made sense because it's someone we've worked with for the last 25 years. She's not a stranger to the judges.
No.
So we have the right to endorse, and we did.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like it's paid off. I mean, it's early returns. You never know what might happen as the votes are counted over the next this evening and the next days. But she has almost a 53% lead with the absentee ballots, and a few precincts reporting in from Woodland.
As you say, it is early, and we've certainly, in my experience, seen things change in the course of the evening. And it's exciting, you know.
Yeah.
We don't get to participate in judicial elections very often, so it's kind of exciting for the judges to
So are you guys having a
watch
big
this
party?
thing. Well, I just came from a little house party, not so little anymore. There must have been 50 people there for Commissioner Baronio, and we're all watching the returns come in and reminiscing about the election. I got to tell you, judges are, by and large, with some exceptions, are not used to politics,
No.
are not used to running for office. I know Commissioner Baronio, although she's a very good judicial officer, it wasn't comfortable for her to be a candidate.
Right.
And but she did it because that's what you have to do if you wish to be elected a judge.
Right.
So she's kind of relaxing right now, and
I bet she is.
kind of unwinding from an experience that wasn't necessarily comfortable.
She is. I bet she is.
Yeah.
Never
Well,
thought she would be in that sort of situation.
Never
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
million years
yeah,
thought she would be
yeah.
there.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and
Thank you.
explaining it. There's no one better to explain pretty much anything than Dave Rosenberg, and you make it seem so simple. And
Thank you. I used to be sitting in that seat once
Yes.
when I was in the political world.
That's right.
So you're doing a great job.
I'm trying to
taking
carry on.
over.
I'm trying to carry on the mantle.
There you go.
You know,
Good job.
yeah.
Good
yeah.
to see you
So,
both.
Thank you for coming in.
Don't be late.
Yeah, I'm driving her, so
Okay.
we may
Yeah.
head to Reno after this. So we appreciate you coming in, and we are going to pull up some results on the screen here, and we're gonna. I believe we have our clerk recorder on the phone on hold, and if they would take her off of hold, we'd love to talk to her and see how things are going in the basement at the county offices. Hi, Freddie. Are you there?
Hi, Andrea.
Oh, there you are. Hello, we hear you now.
Good.
We've been trying to do our best here at Davis Media Access to educate the people about what happens with their ballots today and tonight and in the ensuing days, because it's not over with tonight or probably even tomorrow or in the next few days. So
It'll take a little longer, yes.
Yes, it will, and I know you've got some tight races and even a race with your name on the ballot. But last time we checked, you were in a comfortable lead, as one would expect. Someone who's been elected many times, and the incumbent of part of the job. It was slightly unusual to have a combined job, and
Pretty weird, yeah.
it looks like you may have some new stuff to learn, but I know you're up to the task. How is it going tonight? How are the returns coming in and the ballots
Things are
coming in?
going very smoothly. Our roving inspectors are returning to base with good reports that our precincts were smooth sailing today, and most of the closings have gone very well. As you know, at the end of the election day, the precinct workers, the poll workers, have a daunting amount of bookkeeping to do, and sometimes that seems to slow things down sort of terribly. This is so far a very smooth election, so we're looking at returns coming in pretty steadily starting about a half an hour ago.
Good.
That's, yeah, no, we definitely tried to talk to the Davis voters, or we assume that, although they could be watching from Japan on davismedia.org or listening on KDRT, and it streams on the internet as well. But we've been trying to educate them all night about the fact that it does take time to close out the precinct, take it to the collection site, then it goes to Woodland, and then it gets in line to be counted.
Exactly.
And we've definitely been talking, and some of the people who've come to join us here on the couch and have been running council campaigns say that they've recently found out about how the absentee ballots that were turned in today will not be counted until the ballots that did take place today.
Ballots that were turned in our office before 5 o'clock will be counted, but the ones that are turned in at the polling place will be researched, and counting will begin tomorrow.
Right. And I think people don't realize that they think their vote is part of the vote that goes up, at 8:15.
Not unless they've gotten it back to our office. If it's been turned in at a polling place, then it's going to be stacked up on somebody's desk, and we will crank through those as fast as we can. But it's one by one in an orderly fashion, and then they get sent through the scanners, and then the results are compiled, and then there will be an update in a day or two.
Right.
So, Freddie, how's the voter turnout looking so far?
It looks to us from the reports that we've gotten so far from the polling places that voter turnout is pretty anemic. And I think that statewide we're looking at a prediction of about 30%. And I believe that we'll be a little above 30% in Yolo County, partly owing to those exciting races and measures on the Davis ballot.
Right.
But we aren't going to be far above 30%, I don't think.
So maybe the count will go fast.
Well, that's what we're hoping, exactly. However, as you know, because you voted, the physical size of the ballot is huge, and the larger the piece of paper, the longer it takes the scanner to scan it and get all that information digitally converted. So there are pluses, plus not a high turnout in terms of speed, that's not a plus in terms of democracy, and minus is the physical size of the ballot, which makes it slow.
Right. Well, and as you say, there wasn't as much intriguing. The governor's race, those big statewide races that would normally draw attention, were not as intriguing. And so, in fact, one of the most intriguing things was that someone was running for Secretary of State and on indictment. And
he got plenty of votes.
It proves Dave Rosenberg's theory that you put a name on the ballot and people will vote for it, no matter what it is.
Right.
Well, I have to say I love your use of the word intriguing, because a lot about elections is sort of mysterious and intriguing. And, some of that will show up in the returns as they come in. There will be things that will surprise and confound us. It's too close to call in a number of races still.
Right.
So it's going to be, as you say, intriguing.
Yeah, and we're waiting for some of these big surprises.
Oh, I know. Well, we hope to have a few at least.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
It's
yes.
always
Yeah.
more entertaining if there are some surprises.
Right.
Well, you'll be setting up the
Yeah.
visiting room and the visitors' chairs and all of that.
Yes.
For people who want to watch the ballots be counted in the days to come.
Yes, exactly. If they're of a mind to watch paint dry, then they'll have that marvelous opportunity.
And just like people voting for people who really cannot serve in the office anymore, there will be some folks who want to come see paint dry.
There you go, and they're very welcome because
exactly.
I actually believe, as you know, that the more people see of this process, the more faith they can have in it.
That's right. That's right. No, it's transparency is the best thing that can happen for democracy and for
They
elections.
say that sunshine is the best disinfectant.
That's
We
right.
try to-
And you
try to
you
shine.
you and your crew do a great job of
Well, thank you.
of trying to. I think we're working on a new education campaign though about the turning in your absentee ballot at your polling place.
Yeah,
actually
that's,
slows the process down.
Yeah,
You know.
that might, well, and it just means it takes longer for your vote to actually
Right.
count.
Right. And if you have worked hard on a campaign or have a neighbor who's running and you're really vested in a race that's going to be tight, just put the stamp on that or drive it up to Woodland. You always do such a good job of taking the drop off ballots, 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So there's really no excuse for not getting it in earlier.
Yeah,
so.
come on down.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right. That's right. Well, we, of course, will watch the returns. It looks like you will have a new job to learn, but this is still early. We won't, obviously, you haven't certified the vote, so we won't declare anything so until
Right,
you
and
do.
I'm not going to start stressing about the test yet.
That's
You
right.
expect to be there till 3 in the morning, Freddie?
Well, that's my prediction.
Oh.
Because we're the Yolo County Elections Office and we will eat anything and we will bet on anything. We have our usual office pool about what time the lights will go out, and I think I chose 2:15.
Oh.
So it shows I'm an optimist.
No, that may be early.
Yeah.
That may be early.
Yeah.
I hope you win the
you.
pool, but that may be early considering all of the races with tight candidates and
Right.
lots of votes.
Well,
so.
I've never won before, so I have no expectation of winning now. I just hope to win the important one.
That's right. Well, it looks like you're doing that so far, and I think we would be surprised if you didn't. So.
Well, thanks so much for that vote of confidence.
So we're glad you could join us, and we'll let you get back to work. We know you've got a crew there working, and they've got days ahead of them. So tell them that our thoughts are with them, and we hope they're drinking Gatorade and eating their
thank you,
Wheaties.
and thank you to Davis Media Access for the really incredible job that you do to keep the people of Davis and whoever else is watching and listening informed and up to date on the election process. We consider you partners in this, and we're very grateful.
Well,
Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you.
All right.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Take care. Okay, well, we're going to look at some results that maybe we haven't looked at already. Let's see. Let me look at the iPad, and or somebody can surprise me and pull something up on the screen, and I'll just run with it. But I can't think of what we haven't looked at already. Oh, it's one of the Secretary of State ones, and I can't see it. So. Okay, I'm going to, oh my goodness, they've blown it up here for me, so to speak, and it does still show that Bill Dodd is in the lead, and I believe Charlie Schaup is in the second place district-wide. Is that? Oh, very close between Charlie Schaup and Dan Wolk now.
Oh.
So Dan Wolk, early returns. Looks like we may yet have a chance for someone from Yolo County to make it into the top two. and to go to a November election, and that's actually not a huge surprise for anyone. So I would love to see results on the governor's race. I know the Democratic side is perhaps not as interesting, but it is the top two. So it's our primaries have been completely changed. So if you guys wanted to pull up the Secretary of State, maybe a governor,
and let's do lieutenant governor too.
Yeah. So let's if we look at the governor's race, of course Jerry Brown is way ahead, but in the next two, the one that's going to perhaps go on until November, Neil Kashkari is leading Tim Donnelly, and in that for that number 2 spot, and that is how the polling has looked in the last couple of weeks, and the press and the ads on TV, and I don't find that terribly surprising. I don't know that that's the way the results will hold out for the whole night, but we will look at that. And then if we could look at lieutenant governor, I don't think there's anything particularly surprising about that. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to unbuckle my friend from her seat. Maybe Dan Choi could help us. And Leah needs to be released from the room for a moment.
Yes.
Nothing like having to share that with a whole group of people that you don't even see.
They're all our friends.
Yes, they are. So everyone has to go to the bathroom sometimes. We're looking at lieutenant governor, and of course Gavin Newsom has a gazillion votes and is leading far and away, and then Ron Nehring in second place, which is what we would expect. He is the other major party contender. What about Secretary of State, now that I find myself alone here? Hello, I'm alone. No, I'm kidding. How about Secretary of State? We haven't looked at that in a few minutes, and I know that Alex Padilla was leading the pack, and I would imagine that he still is. He is, and then in the number 2 spot is still Pete Peterson. And as I said, that's not Pete Peterson, who was on the Davis Media Access Board. It's a different Pete Peterson, but it looks like he may make it to the runoff, or I shouldn't say runoff, to the campaign and election in November. We do have somebody else on the phone joining us, and I believe that is Commissioner Baronio. Hello, Janine.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Andrea Jones, and I'm glad to talk to you. We've had Judge Rosenberg in here explaining to our audience, you may have seen it, about the selection process and elections of judges. So hopefully our viewership is better informed than they were before they tuned in, but we understand that this wasn't your lifelong dream to run for an election. There's a lot of people who their biggest fear is to speak in public, and that's just because they've never thought about running for an election. That would probably even be a worse fear. But you've done a great job at it. You've gotten a lot of support from inside the courthouse and also from the community. You've got lawn signs everywhere. You have signs in ag fields all over the county. So you've run an incredible campaign to be a novice at it, and it looks like in the results that's paying off. So how do you feel tonight?
I'm very, very grateful for all the help that I had during this campaign, because you're absolutely right. Running for political office is not something I ever dreamed I would do. I love my job. I love working in the court, and I'm very excited about being a judge, but I never would have ever thought that I would run for political office. But I've had amazing help from all the judges. Dan McGuire, Dave Rosenberg, and Steve Mock have been just wonderful, supportive people for me, and I've been just amazed by all the community support that I've gotten. I was especially pleased to get 78% of the Bar Association's support, and all the law enforcement agencies in the county, victims advocates. I've just been thrilled with the reception I've gotten from people. I've enjoyed some of this. I mean, being a politician isn't my idea of a good time, but I have really enjoyed the Davis Farmers Market. I look forward to that on Saturday mornings, and I don't know what I'm going to do this Saturday. I know I will be there just as a regular person, and that's going to be fun.
That actually is a great relief. Having been at Davis Farmers Market every Saturday for entire election cycles, many years of my life, I will tell you it's a great relief to go and not have to stand at a table, totally. But just talk to people because you enjoy being there. So
yes, absolutely.
You've done it with grace, and I know people have been amazed to watch you at the farmers market and
get to know you
out in the community.
Yeah.
So it looks like the results are still early, but it looks like if things hold up, you will win it tonight and not have to go to another election, which, as Dave explained, you have to get 50% plus one to prevail tonight. And it doesn't appear that your other competitors in the race doesn't appear that anyone is drawing enough votes off at this point to force that election in November. But I know you'll be watching all night and into the morning and in the days that follow. And we, of course, wish you the best of luck. Are there people that you'd like to thank other than the judges you mentioned earlier? I know there's your family and friends that probably have volunteered time and effort to help you in this race.
Well, I would especially like to thank my husband, who has been there with me the whole time. I didn't really even ask him if it was a good idea for me to do this. The judges came to me when Judge Mock decided he was going to retire. The judges came to me and suggested it would be a good idea if I ran, and I listened to what they had to say. I talked to all the judges before I made the decision, but I really didn't talk to my husband, which I probably should have. But he's stuck there with me, and he's really been a wonderful supporter of mine. So a big thank you to Bob for being there for me.
Yeah, it's one thing that we've mentioned throughout the night is the families always come along for the race, whether that means that they're in the front of the scenes at the farmers market, putting out lawn signs, whatever it is.
Walking side by side, walking precincts, door to door.
That's right. This is a woman who has experience with that. So
each take a side of the street.
That's right. That's right. So, but it was probably a good idea not to ask him first. I mean, you've probably been married long enough to have learned. You just ask for forgiveness.
You're probably right.
Anyway, we know you have a party, and we will let you get back to that. But we are glad that you could join us for a few moments, and it looks good so far, and we'll keep watching the race. But it looks like maybe by the end of the evening or sometime tomorrow, you will be on your way to being Judge Baronio. So
that would be wonderful. And thank you for very much for having me on, and thank you to Davis for all the support. I really appreciate the support I've gotten in Davis.
It's a great community, so we were glad to get to know you. Enjoy your party, and we'll keep watching the results.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Janine.
So I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, but we're not quite there yet, so I'm not going to do those reminders just yet. The FCC has strict regulations on when and how that should happen. But we are here at Davis Media Access, and quite a few of the guests that have come in tonight have commented on, whoa, it doesn't look like it did the last time I was here. And oh my goodness, Davis Media Access is very fortunate to have community support. We, of course, are always looking for community support, and I know that as of the end of last week, we were about $2,000 short of our goal, but I'm sure that we will make that sometime this month, hopefully in the next couple
Maybe if
weeks.
some of the campaigns have some extra money left over, they know where they can make a donation.
Oh, Leah, she's great. So, but anyway, if you haven't been by Davis Media Access lately, or maybe even ever, stop by. It's a community resource. It's a community media center. We have a radio station. We have a TV station. We produce not only live TV like tonight, but scripted and more rehearsed segments that maybe are even more professional than this. But the studio.
Here you have two unscripted friends helping our local TV station, and look how nice we look on TV.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm 3/4 of the screen, and she's 1/4.
Yeah.
But
I'm just waiting for the phone call from KCRA or something. Come on board, Leah. Yeah.
We are at the top of the hour, and that means that I would like to once again tell everyone that we're glad you're watching Davis Media Access on DCTV Channel 15 on the local cable carrier. That is also streamed live on davismedia.org, so you can watch it anywhere.
And we're on the radio.
KDRT at 95.7 FM. It's our local low power station. We have had a lot of folks in tonight. There will be several races where we are not able to have every contestant come down and talk to us. As you heard, we have one of the judicial candidates on. She is leading the race right now, and if that changes drastically, we'll do our best to get somebody else on the line and talk to them about how their votes are coming in. We've had Freddie Oakley on, our clerk recorder, about how the election results are coming in, and votes are being tallied tonight and will be tabulated in the days ahead. So we're very fortunate to be able to interview people from afar and then also here in our lovely studio. None of this would be possible without the wonderful leadership of our producer and the executive director, Autumn Lebe-Renault. She even popped into the studio earlier, which is unusual, but we were glad to have her. The technical support tonight is, as always, Derek Service, Alex, and Jeff. Floor manager who is getting our guests mic'd as they come in, and so they're already pre-plugged in and ready to go, is Una Cho, and we're glad to have her on board. Tyler is handling the audio board and the phones. I know Leah's looking forward to phone calls. She's actually hoping KCRA might call tonight while we're on the air. I'm not sure how that will work out, but on cameras we have Cliff. Bill was here. I think we wore him out, but Bryce is still here. Maybe Bill's refueling and he'll be back. We have Dan Choi, who is learning to put up with us, and we love him for that.
And helping us get unmiked when we have to make an exit.
He's just the cutest thing. He should be in front of the camera. And then, of course, Diane Dadashka. Nothing would be possible without her incredible leadership as the director. She brings such a wealth of talent to Davis Media Access and makes all of us look more professional than we really ever hope to be, probably. Our number is 757-2419, and that's in the 530 area code. And if you're KCRA, Leah's waiting for your call, or probably any of the other stations.
Or
I don't know.
NPR.
Yeah, or NPR now. Now radio. I have a face that's made for radio, so maybe NPR will call. But I don't believe that our next guest is here, so maybe we could look at some results on some other county races. We haven't looked at City Council in a while. Maybe there's some new precincts reporting on Davis City Council. So I know that we're still at 0 of 33. Is that okay? I'm sure they're in the, look, we're watching them refresh. This is just like being at a conference when they're getting their PowerPoint set up. I think we're still at 0. So we will, which means that's absentee votes. It doesn't mean it's 0, but those will be updated as soon as they make their way to Woodland and make their way through the line and get through the scanner. Freddie was talking to us earlier about that process. And
You want to see how O and P are doing then?
I don't. If Davis hasn't updated,
Okay.
it would only be countywide
Got it.
races that would.
Okay.
So how about the superintendent of schools? That's a countywide race that has had a lot of support on
Two great candidates.
Two good candidates.
Right.
And so maybe that would, since it's a county-wide race, I think that there would be some Woodland precincts and maybe some other precincts that have reported and have been scanned in. So maybe Diane could, no? It's okay. I talk incessantly. Just ask anyone who's related to me. So we will see some of those results at some point. We've gone through statewide races. There's not a lot of controversy there. It does look like Neil Kashkari has a chance of making it into the #2 spot, which I know there are quite a few people who thought that might be possible. And here we have the county superintendent of schools with 34 of the 120 something precincts. And I think that's what we saw before, which is 51-49. Very close, very close. It's 700, 800 votes separating them out of over 14,000 cast in that race so far, and that's just a little over 26% of the vote in that race. So this is still early in the evening. I know it probably doesn't feel early in the evening. If you've been working on a campaign, you've been looking forward to today, and you've been looking forward to today being over. And the good news is there's no more precincts to walk, and there's no more lawn signs to put out.
And no more literature in your mailbox.
Well, you know, sometimes they show up late.
Oh.
You know, we have actually a very well-known candidate in the Yolo County arena that had a very expensive mailer come the day after Election Day. So I know that that's always what they hope won't happen, but sometimes we see those mailers come in the next day or two, and the TV ads. The paid TV ads sometimes continue to run. But we are now joined by Dan Wolk, and glad to have him here. I'm sure people are glad that you're here, so I will stop talking about nothing because they keep putting stall up there, and I almost stalled out. So I'm really glad to see you. And who did you bring with you?
This is my wife, Yamima, who is the MVP of my most important person in my life, but certainly not this campaign, but you know, in my life.
And I mean, and you married her when she was 12 or something. There's laws against that, I think. But,
yes.
But I mean, it's well, both of you look like you're 12. So anyway, so it's not your first campaign. Certainly not your first campaign. You married into a campaign situation. So hopefully that was, you know, discussed ahead of time, but certainly not your first campaign. You've worked on a lot of campaigns for other people, for people that you love, and
yes.
And some people that you just like, but and not your first campaign for yourself, but your first campaign in a broader arena.
Yeah.
And that's just got to be amazing. I mean, what was that like?
It was a great experience, and it was a real challenging experience. I mean, Yamima can talk. When we started this over a year ago, and I had a great team of folks. I mean, not just, you know, Yamima, but Will Arnold, who's my campaign manager, who I should mention, and others who and this district is just. It's just so big. It stretches all the way from Lake County, this 4th Assembly District, stretches all the way from Lake County, you know, down to Clarksburg, over to Rohnert Park, and you know, encompassing 6 counties.
A lot of miles.
A lot of miles, and you know, places that aren't exactly easy to get to. And so, it's a lot of work. And it was really challenging, but we really, you know, I enjoyed it. It was. You know, I felt like we ran a great campaign, and a really positive campaign, and just had a really great team. And yeah, we're really optimistic that you know, at the end of the night that we'll you know, we'll be in the top 2.
And that you will continue for another 5 months.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's the unique thing about. You know,
Just kidding.
There are a few races.
The top 2.
Yeah, we hope.
There are a few races like this, and I mean, this is a good example of the top 2 primary, this sort of new system that we have, where you know, it's you know, it makes these much more challenging. Makes them a two-part race in many ways. You know,
Right.
this one
Right.
could be that way.
Right.
And
right.
so, yeah. It's,
Right. Well, and I think some people, probably in Davis especially, were surprised to see Charlie Shout, you know, in number 2. Not necessarily surprised maybe to see you in number 1, depending on, you know, what kind of lawn sign they have out front. But you know, for a lot of people, that's not a name that they recognize. He's from Esparto, and he's run for office from Congress on down, I think. I don't. This is not his first race either.
No.
But with the early results, you know, just taking Yolo County, he looked like he was doing really good. Then you widen that out to the 4th Assembly District, and all of a sudden, you know, he's down in the weeds. Because those other votes come in and they don't necessarily know him as well or have heard of him. So I think that we will see as the evening goes on and as the days.
Yeah, I think
it may not be just tonight.
Yeah.
I think as Yolo's returns and Davis's returns come in, I think it'll the race will begin to change. The sort of preliminary results right now will begin to change.
We've seen that already. We've seen that already on the Secretary of State site, and they're letting me know that Charlie Shop leads in Lake County. Well, anyone who's that doesn't surprise me. He's not far from there and is known in those parts, but I don't understand the first thing that's on there, but that's just me. I'm blonde, and I'll admit it. So, but we have had the Secretary of State's site up several times to look at the broader district because it is.
I mean, you have 6 counties reporting.
No, and it's a brand new district. I mean, Mariko's been in it now for 2 years, but this is really the first competitive race, competitive campaign in those 6 counties, and it's been an education process for people in Davis who are used to a woman from Davis being the assembly member. Well, that's not going to happen for sure. We can pretty much say that right now. We don't. We don't need to.
You can guarantee.
I mean, with hormones and surgery, it could change. But I'm not suggesting that. That's a personal decision. But it's a whole different district than it was when your mom was in the assembly or when Helen was in the assembly. It's a completely different. It was much more compact.
It was.
It was, basically Yolo and Solano.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, the first assembly campaign I worked on was my mother's. 2002 race.
Yeah. It was easy to walk then.
Yeah. I mean, it was very compact.
Very compact.
You had big cities, major cities in it, and this one is. The biggest city in this one is Napa, which is only about 75,000.
And then you've got all the outlying areas where the big farms are.
Williams.
Yeah, it's a very rural district, and it's a beautiful district. It's wonderful, and I would love to represent it.
And you can see how ag-oriented the whole area
agriculture
is.
plays a huge role in this district. As does education, actually. It's got UC Davis, but it's also got Sonoma State over in Roaring Park, and a few community colleges.
And great community colleges in between.
Exactly. So it's a real nice district, and as the results come in, we'll be in the top 2, and we'll as you said, play on to November.
That's right.
Take a few weeks off, go to Hawaii, and come back.
Exactly. Her husband would not be saying take a few weeks off. Take a day, one day, while they're still counting ballots. That's what you get. Eat your Wheaties and get back out there.
Did you grill Judge Rosenberg when he was? I only caught a glimpse of the interview, but
we tried.
I wonder if Leah's grilling.
He's a cool character.
Oh yeah.
Really, we couldn't get him to
He's
sweat
fast
at all.
for the answers.
Yeah. Well, you would know. I think we all know.
But before you leave, because we're getting all kinds of hand signals over there. It's the closest I've come to playing baseball ever in my life. I'm sure there's other folks you want to thank. You mentioned Will Arnold. He's incredible. He's done a great job for you, and I know he's a good friend.
And soon to be a father.
That's right. That's right. He's
Any day.
That's
Any
right.
day.
That's
Any
right.
day.
That's right.
The
Glad-
doctor said today, actually.
Yeah.
It was when the doctor thought the baby was going to
Well-
come. And it could still. But
Yeah.
Still, midnight is
11:55.
I know.
So cool.
Yeah.
It would be.
But yes, it was a great team, and I had Will Arnold and Laura McCullough also helped me on the campaign. Tracy Crumpin also helped, and just had a great team, and it was just a real, and just so many community members that I just can't thank each one individually. There's so many.
Right.
The
And you
Davis
made
College
new
Democrats.
friends on the route. Too.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
must have been-
And I would like to give a shout out to the 3 members of the city council that weren't running in this race
Thank God.
for their not only endorsing me, but they're supporting me and just working. It's just been great to work with them over the last 2 years, at least in the case of Lucas and Brett, but even longer with Rochelle.
Right.
But it's just been great to work with them. So yeah, Rochelle Swanson, Lucas Ferricks, and Brett Lee. So
Yeah,
it's
and 2 of them were already in tonight, and Rochelle will be here a little bit later. But and Brett and Lucas are really carrying the work with O&P and some of the other stuff while you guys were off running your other races, and I know they were glad to be there and do it.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
So
those initial results from Elise Yola were just it's really it's just really nice that we have sort of that support from the community.
As the results come in, I think you will continue to see that, and we will watch. We won't stay all night. Autumn won't let us. She has a do not disturb at some point. But we will watch over the days to come, and we'll have that streaming on our Davis Media Access on DCTV, and keep people updated as much as we can. So we know it takes a lot to get out there and put your name on the ballot, and
it does.
And so, we also know you have a party waiting for you to come back.
Yes.
So
and it must have been weird to
seriously,
wake
the
up
top
at breakfast
member-
and go, this is the last. Tonight it's completely over
It
for
was.
a while.
But Yemima, I cannot thank
there's
her
also,
enough.
I think there's also 2 other blondes in your life that you better mention. They're probably in bed. But with YouTube, they
let's hope they're in bed.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Avery and Layla.
Yes.
Let's hope they're in bed.
They're definitely, even though they can't vote, they are definitely Daddy's biggest fans.
Yes.
There were some great Facebook posts recently.
Yes, and a video, I think.
Yes.
Yes, a dance. My
Completely, made up.
Choreographed by her.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
And the best,
Thank you so
best of
much.
luck. Best of luck.
thank you.
We'll keep watching.
We'll do.
So
we will too.
as they depart, we'll take a look at whatever results you put up there. Let's see if I can read them. How about that? It'll be like a vision test.
Yes.
It is the Yolo County returns on the 4th District, and that's still with 30% reporting, and that is the numbers have increased, but basically stayed the same, with Dan leading and Charlie Shoup coming in second in Yolo County. Of course, that's only a part of the district, so the whole district is now up on the screen, and I will do my best to read it. It looks like Bill Dodd is still leading it, and I believe that Dan is in second place, but I can't read those exact numbers. Oh no, he's in third, but not by much. He has 10,000 something, and Charlie has 11,000 something. So that will be
A closely watched race.
Yes,
that's for sure.
and you'll want to bookmark those 2 sites and watch them as the evening goes on and as you wake up in the morning. And we are joined now by City Councilwoman Rochelle Swanson. And who have you brought with you?
This is Neil Root, my campaign manager.
Glad you could be here, Neil.
Yeah, happy
and
to be
glad
here.
you could be here. I'm sure you've
Thank
come
you.
from a party and you probably want to get back to a party, and you probably want to see some results come in from Davis.
That would be
An
nice.
update.
It's
And
been a
looking as
while.
classy as ever.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're sweet. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we haven't looked at that lately, but last time we checked, it was still just absentees. Oh wait, it's different. It's new. It's new and exciting, and it's you're still neck and neck with John Munn. He has 37.1% and you have 36.1%. With only 5.9% of the precincts reporting. So I don't think, I don't think we need to call suicide prevention just yet.
Or vacation planner.
No, exactly. Exactly. Or get on kayak.com and book your vacation. I think that it will be late into the evening, and if not until tomorrow, and really the days to come, because as we've been talking about all evening, those absentee ballots that are turned into a polling place take longer to count. And I think people don't realize that. People are starting to realize that, and I think that's kind of an education piece that we may need to do for future campaigns. They still get counted. Every vote counts, and Freddie Oakley does a great job with her staff of making sure that everything is done with great accuracy and as much speed as accuracy will allow. But they do not get counted until tomorrow or the ensuing days, because they have to go through and verify those signatures, and it just takes longer. So I think it's an education piece for people to realize.
I would agree with that, because I noticed all the filmmaking we've been doing in the last week or two. There was a number of people saying, oh, I'm filling it out right now, and it's like past May 19th. And saying, okay, so you need to take it to your polling place or somewhere within the county.
Right.
So of the permanent absentees, there was still a fair number. And I think some folks who were only doing absentee this year, same thing. They didn't realize that.
Right. So how did it feel being the only incumbent running this time?
It was a learning experience.
She wasn't the only one running. The only one running for re-election.
The only one running for council, right? Everybody else is running. No, it was a real learning experience. Today I was sitting there, wondering, gee, should I have put land use attorney instead of incumbent? Because a lot of people are taking shots of, it's your fault that we have high water rates, not realizing, that vote went round and round, between September and December, and
again just a couple of weeks ago.
And just a couple of weeks ago. And then the ones that were chosen, even that wasn't the first choice, so it's very complicated. And so I think it's very easy. And I think there are a lot of folks who think, that we could have less water rates, and it's just, the number is the number, how we get there is how we get there, but the bill's the same. So I think that has been a big part of the incumbency effect. And that's what happens sometimes. I notice sometimes even during the debates, that council, and I'd be like, wait a minute, I was on the losing side of that vote. But it's easy, to paint with the brush. Yeah.
So Neil, is this your first campaign that you've worked on, or first campaign that you've run, or?
First campaign I've managed, I've worked on a number of campaigns here in Davis, just through either volunteering or a consulting firm or one-off things here and there, but I've mostly been involved in the design or web tech aspects of things. So this is my first time doing sort of the management.
Volunteer coordinator, so to speak. I mean, you probably have a volunteer coordinator. But you're still the volunteer coordinator. The manager is the go-to person and the conduit with the candidates?
Well, one of the things that you get in city council elections, especially in Davis, is you get a lot of really enthusiastic people that say, what do I do? How do I help you get elected? And luckily I came out of UC Davis, and this is one of the things Rochelle's talked about is, trying to keep students around here. And so I studied political science, and I've been able to bring a lot of those things to, people that have these huge hearts for trying to make happen what they want to have happen in Davis, and just helping them connect with the tools they need to get those things done.
Right. That's great.
You put in time at the farmers market also?
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny. When I was a student, I never went, and then working on her campaign now, I'm gonna keep going after the campaign.
Well, go on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
Because our Optimist Club, we sell beer and wine. And
I live just down the street, actually. I love Wednesday nights.
So it's safe. You can walk. So the chief of police won't have to worry about that. This was a good PSA all the way around.
Do you have a parking space in your driveway?
I don't have a driveway. I park on the street. And there's plenty of bike dings on my car to prove it.
Nice.
Hey, there's a lot of people that don't even have a car. We were talking about this earlier. She can't believe people that have just ride their bike everywhere.
For years.
My 19-year-old is that way, and he can't even foresee the idea of a car.
Yeah.
So, you should have a license, though, for emergencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will need to
Someday
drive,
you
maybe.
might. Yeah. But he loves
But maybe
it.
not.
Goes
you
to
know?
school on West Campus. I mean, so yeah, it's good.
Yeah, well, and Google's coming out with a car that drives itself, so he may not need
I
it.
like that idea. Hey, I need to be at this appointment right now. I can multitask.
Exactly. So, well, it's great to see a fresh face involved with campaigns. I mean, campaigns do kind of bring volunteers out of the woodwork and activists and people who are willing to put in the time, because it does take a lot of time. I mean, you know that. This isn't your first campaign, so you knew what you were heading into. But it's great to see a fresh young face that's helping and hopefully stays active in Davis politics.
And he's had some great support. So Brian Horsfeld is the chief of staff, and he really helped out. And Eileen Sametz helped out a lot with the signs and helping out with the mailers. And then Kay Ressler and Judy Wolf were also on the campaign and had some help from Nicole Arnold as well. And Bob Medeiros was just wonderful. It was really good to have him not only as a mentor, but on the financing piece. So I was really blessed. Am I forgetting anybody? I'm trying to mentally go around the table. Laura McCullough and Catherine Haw helped out some too. And so it's been good. And then just the support has been really incredible.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're looking forward to the passage of Measure O.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am. I'm glad that it's looking good. I think people don't realize there's this idea that there's more to cut, but it's really been tough. It's even like right now with the deficit, it's like, well, it's overspending. It's like, well, no, we've brought deferred maintenance from our roads actually into the budget, and that's had an impact. I think a positive impact. I think we're going to, as we begin to really tackle our roads and be able to improve infrastructure.
Good.
And we have some new numbers up on Measure O. It's still just that 5.9%, but it is still in the lead, and I think perhaps has grown a little bit since the last time we saw it. So it's only 2 of the 34 precincts in Davis, and if you've run campaigns in Davis, you know there's more than 34 precincts.
Yes.
Those are consolidated precincts.
You've walked them.
And if you've walked them, you know that there's precinct 101 and 102. And so those are consolidated precincts, 34 consolidated precincts, and only 2 of those are in this tally, but it is still going in the yes direction. So
just very good news.
Yeah, because it's, as your council member colleagues who were here at the very beginning of the show pointed out, it's necessary. It's very necessary, but it doesn't even solve the whole structural deficit problem. And so without it, it would be really something that we haven't seen in Davis in a long time, maybe ever. So
yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. I think this council and the past couple before did a really good job, I think, of protecting the community from the impacts of the recession. But we really are now just to that thin veneer, and without O, it would really change, and we need that bridge until we can really pick up on more revenue through economic development and seeing where we go with our partnership with the university and with other innovation, and just really trying to pick up the other piece of it. So I think it's a good partnership even with the community, by being able to do, they're partnering and saying, okay, we're going to help fill this gap while you, city, really pull together and make sure that you can meet the other half of the budget needs.
Right. And I think as a council, you've done an incredible job of coming up with innovations that initially when I heard about them, I said, well, that's never going to happen. You're going to combine 2 fire services, the city and the university. Are you kidding? That's never going to happen. And it did. And it's working. And so, some of those innovations have been a long time coming, and hats off for taking it on, because there's a lot of entrenched people on either side of that.
There are, and that's been, it's really been a joy to be a part of this council, not to mention that all are we colleagues, but I think we all consider each other friends. But some of these things that as you said, they seem like innovations, but the fire study, we've been talking about joining for over 36 years.
Right.
Maynard Skinner, in his 1972 State of the City address, talked about surface water. He actually sent me the transcript to say, promise, sweetie, this has not just come on the books. So those are good examples of things that I think we've been able to kind of draw together and actually start moving. I call it the silver lining of the recession.
That's right.
It really caused everyone, I think, to take a step back and say, okay, what can we do with all the wonderful assets that we have?
That's right. And how can we do it more efficiently?
Correct.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, we know you have a party to get back to. We hope that if we get out early enough, we'll get to hit some of the parties and maybe see you on the circuit. We're glad you came in. Nice to meet you, Neil. Look forward to seeing you,
You too.
again here.
Yeah.
Maybe they may
Go DMA.
They may find, they may find replacements for us. I mean, but if not, we'll see you here again next campaign. But I know that that you've got a party to get back to and results to watch. So don't stay up too late. It may go into the tomorrow or the next day, but we'll be watching them with you and wish you all the best.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thanks so much
both.
for doing this.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, and go DMA. I love that.
Yeah.
Go DMA Access. So we will take a look at, oh no, I'm not going to take a look at anything. I'm going to talk to Supervisor Bill Dodd, I believe is on the phone, running for the 4th Assembly District. Good evening, are you there?
I sure am.
Wonderful, welcome. We have been watching the preliminary results come in. We haven't been watching it county by county. We've looked at Yolo County and then looked at the Secretary of State's website, and you are in a convincing lead district-wide, and would appear that you will be one of the two on the ballot in November. But it's early yet, and so of course me declaring anything doesn't make it so. But you are certainly in a convincing lead with the few precincts that are reporting in so far. How do you feel about how the evening's going?
Well, I think I was just visiting with our registrar of voters in Napa County, and he just, he's done this for something like 30 years, and well, I will respect the final results. Obviously, he just feels like at this point these numbers are going to be hard, very, very hard to overcome, and I'm very, very gratified that the voters have turned out obviously. So far I'm doing very, very well, and I'm very, very appreciative.
Yeah, it will be, I think, probably a long night and maybe into the days to come, depending on how many absentee ballots were turned in at polling places. Those always take longer to count. So, and I know that there are quite a few of those here in Yolo County. I know that it's early yet, even though it's 10:30 in the evening, it's early yet for anyone to declare anything, but it does look like, and not, I don't think surprising, I think the pundits for many weeks, or if not months here in Yolo County have been saying with 2 Yolo County, well, really 3, including Charlie, Yolo County candidates, that divides the vote, and so you had less competition from your home territory, and so I think that the race is shaping up the way we would expect it. It's just who will be in that number 2 spot and be your competition for November.
Right. I think you're so right. I was very fortunate to have 4 guys. It's actually 4 because Justin Call, even though he wasn't really president during this race, there's 4 guys from Yolo County.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to have that, and I think you're right. It's going to be either Dan Woke or Charlie Schaup in that second place position, and that's kind of what everyone's looking at here at my campaign headquarters right now.
Right. And so it will be interesting to see how that goes as the votes come in. Traditionally, in Yolo County and countywide races, we say, and of course I am sitting in Davis as saying this, but we traditionally say that as Davis goes, so goes the county. And really, until recently, that has been the case because there's more registered voters in Davis and more reliable voters than anywhere else in the county. So I don't know that that's still the case. We've had, West Sacramento has had quite a bit of growth, and Woodland has had quite a bit of growth, but I think that it will be interesting to see how, when the Davis votes come in, if that changes who's in the number 2 spot district-wide heading into November. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be anybody's guess at this point. I mean, it looks like Schaub does have a pretty good lead at this point, though.
Right. And I know there's quite a few people who are trying to familiarize themselves with Charlie. I've known him for a number of years, and he's lived in Esparto for quite some time. So, but he's an unknown quantity for a lot of folks in this part of Yolo County. Yeah. So we look forward to getting to know you better. We hope that that you will avail yourself of the opportunities to reach out to people here through Davis Media Access, and hope that you'll come in and visit with us sometime. And we will watch the results as they continue tonight, and let you get back to your party, and wish you the best of luck.
Well, listen, thank you very much, and I will take you up on that invitation. That's going to be job number 1 for me to get to, particularly if I run against Charlie Schaub, is to get to Yolo County and make a presence and really do a good job there. And frankly, I hope to do as good a job for Yolo County, particularly Davis and Lois Woke and Mariko Yamada has done for Napa County as our representative. And I hope that I can get to know more voters in that area.
Well, we have a great farmers market, and you will find that
I've heard about that.
Yeah, you will find that you need to have a team there every Saturday, and I think they set up about 6 a.m. If you
okay, well, I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we'll look forward to meeting you at the farmers market. Take care.
Thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We are fortunate to be joined tonight in the studio with yet another city council candidate, and the man who is the leader and has been the leader all evening. Of course, 5.9% of the votes are in, so don't be ordering your stationery just yet. But as I said in the beginning, and people who know me, I speak my mind. I'm not surprised that you were the leader. You've run an incredible campaign. Right. I don't know if you heard Bob Dunning when he was here, but he talked about that he thought you had the biggest stretch to make up, that you were running against people whose name was known in the community. And you did that. You did that with a lot of hard work and obviously a lot of dedicated volunteers.
Great team.
No one does this alone.
Absolutely.
You'd have to be Superman to be in that many places all at the same time.
Yeah.
But your lawn signs, your mailers, your just across the board, you've had a campaign that was on a straight trajectory and obviously a good group of people. So who would you like to thank and what?
Well, many people. I mean, you really hit it. It was a great team. It was a great team of people, and I'm really proud of them, and I'm proud to be able to be part of them. I have to start with my wife, who, she laid down the ground rules at the beginning about how this was going to be in terms of what I could and couldn't bring home, and she enforced that, but kept the space, that we had, non-anxious. Supportive, and I love her. We've been married 33 years nearly, and
congratulations.
Thanks. And it, her support and just her commitment to helping. She did a lot of the stuff that any other team member would do. I think that's what's cool about a local election like this. Everybody, the friends, and everybody gets involved. My team, my core team, Dick Livingston was was the chair, Mont Hubbard the treasurer, Claire Goldstein did all of the walk sheets, and we walked every precinct in the city. We did 15 precincts twice.
Oh my!
And she organized it all, along with help from Robert Canning, who originally helped put the list together. Matt Williams helped put the list together. Carolyn Hinshaw was a core team member who just walked constantly. Was at the market every Saturday. We started marketing. We started at the market February 15th. We have done every week since February 15th. We have walked precincts every 3 or 4 times a week since the beginning of April and end of March, really. So Carolyn's been involved in that. Michelle Millay put out all the lawn signs, delivered them, has been at the market every week, taken it up, put it down.
And a lot of lawn signs.
A lot of lawn signs. About 450 people hosted signs for us, and those are,
You know, those are not on neutral corners. Those are in people's yards.
Right,
and those are friends and people we've met. Yeah.
That's important.
I mean, you've worked hard. I didn't even know who you were. And here you are,
well,
the front runners. So.
Yeah, I think what it is we had that core team, and I know I know I missed someone, and I don't want to miss anybody. It'll come back to me later. But then what it was friends and colleagues who just, I mean, we had 36 hosted events in people's homes. With about 12 to 15 people in each. That's individual people who open up their homes, invite their friends, invite their neighbors. Those were amazing events. I counted today, we had more than 60 people walk precincts, different people. We had more than 20 people work the table at the market. I mean, it was a broad community effort. It was a broad, and then in addition, those who, who put out signs in their yards, those who attended coffees. So, we set out to do a very grassroots thing, and I think we accomplished that. And, frankly, Brett Lee, who was also a member of the core team, and Dick said, this is the way we're going to do it. Ken Wagstaff, who read all of my, everything that I wrote, three of them got together and said, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to meet people in their homes. We're going to meet people, at the market, meet people at the coffees. We're going to get the word out through just knocking on doors. And that's what we did. And that's why I say I'm proud of them, because we just put into place a plan. We worked that plan. And, the results are not in our hands. But what we did do, I think we did effectively, and with a lot of, again, just a lot of non-anxiousness, a lot of just good, solid work, looking at each other in the eye and saying, we're going to do this. So.
And now you totally understand O and P.
Well, I do. I mean, I understand
as much as anyone can.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, we've talked. All of us, all of the candidates, and I think we've been very focused in an appropriate way on the fiscal challenges of the city. And though, Measure O, I think others have probably said, I think it can only be seen as a temporary fix. I mean, the structural issues, getting total compensation into line, figuring out, how we can expand our revenue base. Those are the challenges of that are ongoing for this next council. I mean, we have many opportunities. So I think, I've supported O because I think it provides us with some breathing room to move, put into place. But we got to move quickly to move into, especially the revenue expansion pieces, which is our downtown, which is maybe the innovation parks.
Capitalizing on all that wonderful innovation that comes off of UCD and not letting it slip away.
Well, and that's it. And I you guys probably know these things better than I do. I mean, I really want us to have a grown-up relationship with the university and really talk about our mutual needs, the positive and negative externalities that exist because we rub up against each other, but we're two very different entities. We're a representative democracy in every sense of the word and a fully engaged population. That is not an efficient way of making decisions, but so what? That's what we want. Well, the university isn't that. They're part of a federation. They answer to different stakeholders, but our futures are bound up. We need what flows from that university in terms of innovations, and they need us. They need a good community to welcome students and faculty and the leadership. So our future's bound up, and it's also bound up with our farmland around our edges, because without that resource, this university wouldn't be here, and the innovations that are flowing are largely linked to that, feeding the world. So it's this amazing thing that we just need to figure out constantly ways to capitalize and build that relationship at all levels. It's a ladder of relationships from getting students, in to do research on city issues to the really macro level. How are we going to work on niche property together and those types of things? And the opportunities are there. I hope I can help provide, if I'm elected, some of the leadership that would help continue move that relationship in a good direction.
Well, I think you totally understand the full picture, so.
It's a big picture. It's a complex picture.
But you seem to have it, in your mind how to work it. So I hope it's all good news.
A lot of candidates.
What's that?
This is the lady who's seen a lot of candidates.
Thanks. No,
she remembers when Jerry Adler was young.
Well, I think all of us are in this really amazing learning experience, and that's what I really love about campaigning is that it's not just we talked about the work out in the field. But the resources that we have in this town to draw on for learning, if I want to know something about water, if I want to know something about issues related to, POU, there are people in this town who are
Right.
not just local experts.
Right.
They're state, national, and dare I say even world experts on those issues right here.
Right.
So our learning, it's like having an opportunity to take a free graduate level course when you sit down and talk to folks.
No, it is.
And
It
it's just
really
over
is.
and over. And so, though it's complex, we have an opportunity to engage in a tremendous amount of ongoing learning, which I've been so energized by it.
Oh, I bet.
It's been just amazing.
Obviously, I mean, here it is, almost 11 o'clock, and
Yeah.
I know you've been working like crazy. You've probably been up since early this morning. And you've
Coffee.
You're bouncing off the couch practically. This is amazing. This is a good sign because council meetings can sometimes go late.
That's what I understand.
It's
I've
better
been to a
than
few.
it's better than it was. It's better than it
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and much more collegial than it's been in a number of years. And I see that continuing in the future, no matter who ends up in the top two positions once the votes are finally counted.
It will. I'm. You know what? What council is people bringing their gifts to the table to collectively solve problems.
Yeah.
And as we honor each other's gifts
Yeah.
on that council, we'll work together.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we won't have conflicts. We should
Yeah.
welcome conflict at a
Right,
certain level.
right.
But we'll work together to move initiatives
Right,
forward.
right.
I have full confidence in that.
Yeah, no,
I
I
do.
think, and this is a town that does, in a sense, welcome conflict. We should. And we should.
Yeah.
We should. Difficult.
We need to deal with it
difficult-
productively.
Right, but difficult decisions require hearing more than just one side.
Absolutely.
And not rubber stamping. And we don't do that, and I don't see us doing that in the
Yeah.
future. And but it does look like but it's really early results.
Yeah,
So
we're not gonna say anything.
No.
What our team is thankful for is that we achieved what we set out to do, and we're proud of that. You know, the results, the people that are voting, they have a lot of reasons for voting the way they vote. And if they elect me, I'll gladly serve. If they don't, then I'm going to go back to the community and work on the things I'm working on. Restorative justice. I'm going to keep working
Good.
with issues related to homelessness and addiction. I'm going to keep teaching kids how to bike safely.
Yeah.
My dad, I know you guys probably need to move on, but I want to. My dad passed over Memorial Day weekend, and I wanted to honor his memory tonight. And what my dad taught me, among many things, and we didn't agree politically, was faithfulness to the task, and integrity in doing a task. He's gone now, but he taught me that most days of my life. And I saw the faithfulness to my mom. I saw the faithfulness to all the things he was involved in. And what that meant was, there were times when he was called on to play a leadership role in a very high-profile way, but most of the leadership he provided was in the small things. Mm-hmm. And if I'm given the opportunity to provide leadership in that Davis-wise, high-profile way, I'll accept it. If not, there are a lot of places in this community to operate, live, work, serve, and I'll continue to value that just as much as I have in the past.
But we won't see the end of you, so
No, that's wonderful.
Well, I live here. This is my town. This is my home. This is our home, right?
No, that's wonderful. That's what a wonderful sentiment, because so many times people run for office for the first time. Lamar Haystack is one that I bring up time and time again with people. He ran, a very dedicated young man, very focused, and he didn't make it the first time. And he didn't let that stop him. He worked hard. You talk about walking precincts. He was walking precincts in January.
Yeah.
He's
an amazing guy. Daniel Perella's done the same thing. I mean, you got to give a big hand to Daniel, because I every time I was out walking, it seemed like I run into him.
Right.
And he was out there week after. I know he wore out shoes, and he's following in Lamar's footsteps. We need that type of dedication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need to see it. We need to be part of it. We want to be part of it.
Right.
We want to be part of that commitment process.
Right.
And I'm excited to see people stepping up like that.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear, if I don't win this time, I'm going to stay in the community. I'm not going to come back and do this again. So you won't be seeing me in 4 years.
But you never know.
No.
You
Never say never. And it's actually 2
I made a
years.
commitment to my wife. 2 years. 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, doesn't matter.
I personally would encourage you to do it.
And she knows. She's had to be the wife of a mayor more than once.
I know. With
Say
my wife,
that.
if my wife were in here, she'd say, no, we made this commitment. There's just other stuff to do in this town.
Right.
And a lot of it is just going to require a long walk in the same direction, and
But
I want to participate in that.
Yeah, but one thing I would like you to encourage is for UCD students or anybody to have a bike light at night.
Don't worry. We've been handing them out. We've been handing them out.
On the way home tonight, if we happen to drive by you and a crazy lady yells out the window, get a light, get a light.
By the way, I have my light. I'm on my bike tonight. I have my light. I have a very good high power light. We're working on this. Our new bike plan enshrines that as a top commitment.
I yell out the window. I literally yell out the window.
That's okay.
Bike light.
Yeah, do
I mean,
it.
they're in
Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Drives me crazy.
We're going to get there.
It's very dangerous.
It is.
It is.
It's our biggest complaint in the Bike Advisory Commission.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, because it's so hard to see at night,
Yeah.
and a horrible accident could happen when it doesn't.
Well, it's scary. What I've learned is it's really scary for automobile drivers because and it's anyway.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Well,
it's a pleasure meeting you.
It is
You too.
wonderful to
Thanks
meet
so much
you.
for having me.
Wonderful to meet you, and we look
and
forward
for doing this. I remember following this 2 years ago. I really enjoyed the whole evening. This year I didn't get to because it was noisy everywhere, but I'll try to look at the tape. And
that's right. Oh,
thanks
please.
for coming out and doing this. Yeah.
Well, we have fun doing it. At some point, they'll probably find replacements for us, but until
Not
then,
yet.
we have fun. We have fun. So, and we're looking forward to getting to know you better.
Thanks a lot.
So keep up the good work, and we'll watch the returns, and we will go to some returns. They're going to show us something here, and it's still the same 5.9, and it still has you there at almost 41% of the returns as they are, and not a lot has changed. That will change over the evening and in the course of the next couple of days. But let's see, Measure O is passing with a more comfortable margin than it was with just the absentees, and I think we will, continue to watch those results. It's also really just 6% of the votes in at this point, and Measure P is also passing. I don't remember if that's tightened up, but it's also still just 6% of the votes in, so still a lot of votes to be counted. Oscar Villegas from West Sacramento is still in the lead for County Supervisor District 1. Mike McGowan has been the District 1 supervisor for 122 years. Okay, not really, but a long time.
A long time.
And he retired, and Oscar was appointed to his seat, and he's now running for that. And just early returns on that as well. Looks like about 7% of the vote in. West Sacramento has a long way to drive their ballots, just like Davis does, maybe even a little further.
And he's got a lot of name recognition.
But he's been there for a long time and on the council for a long time. Looks like is that right? 50% of the votes are in for judicial, and it looks like Commissioner Baronio is on her way to being Judge Baronio. She has 52.9%. I believe that's an increase percentage-wise. She's pulling away from the field slightly, if I'm reading that correctly, and that is over half of the votes in. So Yolo County returns only, but of course that's everybody that's running. And my goodness. Let's see, Freddie Oakley is still in the lead, 50% of the votes counted in that race, and she's leading basically 2-1 against her opponent, and I guess soon to be employee. That will be an interesting relationship. It looks like Jesse Ortiz, 50% on that one is counted, and it looks like Jesse Ortiz is pulling away slightly from Sam Newstead, not dramatically, 52-48. I think we were a little bit closer earlier in the evening, but I apologize if I'd scrambled any of that. I've been talking live since 8 p.m. and
And I
completely
have a surprise for Autumn.
Oh yes, we would
So
like.
I need the package that I brought, and I also need Autumn to come in to receive something.
While we're doing that, if I could just once again,
it's in a brown
if I could
bag.
just once again thank our crew. That starts with Diane Dadoshka. You'll probably never see her on camera. Someday maybe I'll get her to come in here, but she's an incredible woman and brings a plethora of knowledge
History.
and information about real TV studios and commercial TV operations, and we're lucky to have her. Floor manager is Dan Choi, and he's been absolutely amazing. He may try to strangle us with some cord later this evening, but hopefully I can outrun him. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't outrun him. The cameras have been operated by Bryce Parker, Bill Lorfring, and Cliff Gamble. Bill came back in. I see he got refreshed and rejuvenated and was able to stay with us all evening. The audio board and phones has been handled by Tyler. Una Cho, recent addition here at Davis Media Access, has been great at miking all of our guests, including our executive director, who is reluctantly back in the studio, wondering what we're doing. I'm not done with my thank yous yet. Derek Service, Alex Silvasader, and Jeff Shaw. Everything here takes a team effort, and they're almost always a part of that team. And of course, Autumn Lebe-Renault is our producer, and none of this would happen without her scheduling the multitude of guests and calls and what number are you going to be at, and
well, because I'm here and I'm once again for the second time I'm never here on election night. I get to thank Andrea Jones and Leah Rosenberg for doing a great job with our show tonight. It's not an easy thing to talk for 3 hours. It's even more difficult to talk knowledgeably about politics and to make people feel at ease, and you both do a great job. And I think this is their 4th outing as Andrea likes to call them Penn and Teller.
Yeah. Although whichever one's not supposed to talk started learning how to talk, and it's great.
Did a great job.
We've
so
had fun
I'm curious and a little scared.
Okay, well, if some of you know, I save things, and I know Andrea saves things. And I happen to have found an interesting article amongst my papers.
Oh dear.
And this is when Autumn took over the helm of DC
Oh,
TV
look at that.
in June of 2006.
Wow.
So
a long time ago.
So we made a little.
And the cast of characters is the same. The equipment has changed, but Jeff and Derek are pictured in this Davis Enterprise article with
Can you
Autumn.
get a?
And if you can get a close-up of it, they were younger, but it's the same team, the trio that has led this organization for a number of years, and we're lucky to be celebrating the 25th year and thriving in our 25th year here at Davis Media Access.
And with Autumn being with us since 2006.
Well, she was here long before that.
I've actually been here longer. In 2006, I was asked to step up as interim director and have been the director since 2007 when we changed our name to Davis Media Access and have really gone from a single channel to a media center. So it's been my honor to lead that charge for a number of years now. And thank you for this. It was very sweet.
It's a recycled frame, as you can see.
There's an inscription on the back. For those of you out there who know Leah, she does collect things, and there's an inscription on the back. And as we were driving over, I said, "Well, what does that say?" And it says something to Julie, because the original frame was to someone. Anyway,
right.
But Leah, she's always got surprises. I think we've gone over the results as they stand now. I know that we will be keeping the results up and on our rotating board overnight.
Overnight on Channel 15, and So I had the experience of live tweeting tonight's show all night long. Our Twitter feed is @DMAFeed and hashtag Davis Elections 2014. And so you can go there and find that. I'll do some more posting tomorrow to put the wrap on it. I can see we're getting the wrap it up signal.
Yes, I've been getting that all night. Poor Dan, I've ignored him more than I ignore my husband. But the tweeting has gone well. Because you have a lot of new followers. This iPad gets a message every time you get a new follower.
There you go.
So if you've heard dings throughout the evening, it's a new follower for Davis Media Access, and we love that.
Yeah.
So we love that almost as much as we love a new donor. So there's still time to get your donation in to support all the wonderful work that goes on here, local election coverage that wouldn't happen without community support. And dedication of folks like Autumn and Derek and Jeff that have been around and involved for so long. And well, Cliff was practically here with the building too. So
Daniel's going to give you the hook in about a minute.
I see that. Well, I'm worried.
Shall we say thank you and good night?
Yes, yes. I know there's lots of parties going on out there. There's a little flurry of activity going on in here, and I hope that doesn't have anything to do with us. And for all of you at your parties, enjoy things, drive safe home. And watch the results as they come in over the evening and over the next few days. And for those of you that have worked on campaigns, thank you
and thank
for your dedication.
Candidates too.
That's right. It takes a lot to put your name on the ballot.
It really does.
And hats off to all those folks. We're lucky in Davis to have as many dedicated people as we do. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you the next time we have one of these crazy local elections.
Good night from Davis Media Access.
Good night.